Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Douglas Planning Board meeting for July 10th, 2018. The meeting is being recorded and is available for public viewing on Douglas Public Access Channel and on the Douglas website. We'll come to order at 7:02. First item on the agenda is CMRPC.
You may recall, we've been talking, this is Ron Barron from Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. He's going to be helping us. You can come up, sit here, Ron, if you want. You may recall, we have what are called, I know they've changed the name, I'm going to probably pick the wrong one, local planning assistants or
Local technical assistance.
technical assistants.
They changed the name in one part, still haven't updated in the other, so we can use either one, it's fine.
And so we're utilizing that to help us with taking a look at our zoning maps and see if we're on base with the lines as they fall. I know some of the issues we encounter often are the zoning district line straddles one property into two different zones, and that creates some hardships for people. So we're trying to think maybe we should either shift those zoning lines as might make more sense due to property boundaries or geographic boundaries or utilities and that kind of thing. So I'm going to ask Ron to kind of walk us through the proposal, the scope, and that's in your packet.
All right, well, thank you very much for having me here today. Again, my name's Ron Barron, Associate Planner with CMRPC. I've been with the agency for almost 2 years now. Do principally housing planning, some economic development, stuff like that, but also a lot of land use stuff. So what we have in this proposal is, it's a relatively simple project. It's only about 26 hours. It's looking to utilize the LPA hours that have been accrued by the town for this past fiscal year and this current fiscal year. So it's really about 24, but we can stretch it to about 26 hours because it's not exactly equivalent. And so what we were looking at is a relatively small thing to look at the map, try to sit with the planning board and find out exactly what it is that you would like that you think needs to be amended. I would work with our GIS team to put together some draft maps that would reflect the changes. We'd have a little time built in to review those with you. And then provide some next steps for how to get it implemented. So really the bulk of what we would be doing is drawing up maps, reviewing them with the planning board, telling us yay or nay, what works, what doesn't, and then, taking it back and getting a refined map for you guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to spend some time taking a map out, taking a look at it, identifying some problem areas or areas that we're concerned about so that Ron can kind of get a general direction, assuming you're good with the scope, that is, of course.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing as we always talk about is, you have a piece of property and the zoning line goes right in the middle of it. Because back in the day, they took a distance from the road and they said, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's,
Let me go
Take
get
your
a
job.
map. I'll be right back.
so we've had circumstances where the zoning has become issues with residents and on the commercial industrial side and everything, because nothing's on property lines.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
Reviewing the existing materials, we're not there yet, nor will we meet with the planning board. That's not tonight. This 4
No.
hours, this is something else.
This is just an introduction.
Right,
This is
because-
only 15 minutes to sit and talk with you
Right,
and find
because
out.
we're gonna need to delve into the maps and see.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
Exactly.
not gonna do the maps right now.
I know,
Yeah.
that's what I
No.
was, he's getting them, but I don't,
Well, just,
Yeah.
I'm gonna designate the problem areas that we've been discussing in the past so that
Yeah,
have
just
an
so we
idea
can know.
where we're looking at.
Exactly, just so we can get a sort of a sense of where we wanted to start, and then try to sort of pin down tonight a timeline, make sure the board is comfortable with the scope as
Oh,
it's
yeah.
written.
Yeah, it looks real good.
So what we were going to end up, we have the big map right here. So what we would do is we would end up taking this back, and then we plan on having setting up another meeting and another regularly scheduled planning board meeting where we could build in more time to go over it in detail.
Great.
So, can you give me? Would anyone be willing to give me a little bit of a sense of the type of areas that sort of jump out at you as the places that need the that have been the biggest problem?
I think it's on the,
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. If we're altering someone's zoning on their property, so would that be the board's responsibility or the town's responsibility to notify them? Because I don't mind cleaning up the lines, but I don't prefer like us deciding what zone they're gonna be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
So
would have
there
to be
is,
approved at town meeting.
exactly, so any kind of major amendment to the map would end up requiring, if you're changing the zoning on somebody's parcel from one thing to the other, it would require taking it to town meeting, require a public hearing. It would require getting some input from the community, so there would have to
From
be
the
an option.
specific
Well,
person.
what would happen is, I
Yeah.
mean, before, we need to first identify the areas we're talking about, okay? So step one is a working session. We're gonna say, okay, we don't like this, we like this. We'll identify these areas of concern. Once we get a final list that we all agree on, then we would need to have a public hearing or even have an informal meeting, and we can contact all those relevant parties and say, look, this is why we want to change these. Please come in, we're going to have a discussion, and then get their input at that point. And if they're opposed to it outright, maybe we either drop that particular area or, but I don't think this is a wholesale thing where everybody in town gets to pick their flavor and,
Right.
hey, I want industrial, I want commercial.
Yeah.
I think it needs to make sense with us before we bring in the public. And
Well, we
then-
get recommendations from
Right.
this, your group, and then we would go in with our recommendations, right?
and I think it's mostly gonna involve properties that are already
That are split.
split. It's a 50-50, so
I'm
more
okay
people
with
don't.
that,
That's, the only thing that I'm trying to do is clean up properties that are split within their own property lines. In other words, you have around 100 feet deep of property, and the last 20 feet of it is residential, but the front 80 of it's commercial. It's silly.
Yeah.
You make that all commercial,
So,
you know what I mean?
For
And it's
instance,
cleaning
like,
up those lines to make it all, it is or it isn't. You know?
Does anybody have any idea of how many properties that involves?
no, we don't
That's
have
why we're
any
trying to do
idea.
this.
Well, I think that's a relatively simple query that I'm sure Matt has the capability of doing to see what one parcel has multiple districts. And then we could take that table and then hone in on the areas we want to focus on.
I mean, let's say it's a 50-50 split. Now you're becoming, like you say, that gray area on how they want to go with it.
I'm not making
But-
the decision for the
No.
person that owns the property.
Well, that's what I'm
To
saying.
rezone it.
But if it's a 70-30 split or an 80-20 split,
I still think that it shouldn't really be up to us to decide that.
I agree,
wouldn't-
but the thing is, we need to
It
look
wouldn't
at
be,
cleaning it and
it'd
then
be up to
notify
town
them.
meeting vote event, finally, that's where it would.
Yeah.
not
decide.
really-
landowner.
Well, hold on. Zoning map and zoning boundaries the authority lies with this planning board, okay? So developing this map is your responsibility.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's problems with the map, this is a session to try and identify those problems and refine the problems or minimize the problems. It's not to say we're gonna do things without input from the owners. That's an
Exactly.
important step, but that's not the first step. That step's gonna come later.
Later, yeah.
Need to identify the properties first, and then, like you said, get a hold of them. And say, listen, we're looking at the zoning map, and this is why we're looking at it.
Well, then that's one of the, I think the big thing is getting that list, because then if you can see, you've got 50, 100 properties, 200 properties, you've got a big list of properties, then you can decide how you can approach trying to do outreach.
Right.
If you've got 20 properties, you can send a letter to all 20 of them and
Yeah.
say, please come to this hearing, we're gonna talk about it, and we can get your input.
I mean, there are a lot of strategies that we can implement in trying to make recommendations for changing the zoning based on whether it's all residential across a small street and there's just a strip of industrial that maybe for the benefit of the people, and they should be residential, so they're not burdened with an industrial in a residential zone. So there are certain things that we use as planners to, it's access to larger streets, it's access to highways, so it isn't just one thing. We should be making recommendations. It doesn't mean
Right.
we're,
So the undeveloped parcels
Yeah.
are going to be able, depending on what zone we choose for them, specifically the RC1 zone, it's gonna be different zoning requirements versus the 2 to the 1 acre, and it's gonna
Oh,
be
sure.
advantageous for the person.
Right.
But if we don't include everyone and then we just like stop
No,
at
I didn't say
some
that. I
point.
say, but as a planning board,
You need to
there's
start
no one else in
somewhere.
town that, I mean, this is our
Okay.
job to set planning
Right.
regulations and recommendations.
Right.
I mean, we can say off the bat, okay, we'll start at, out by 146 and work our way in, and worry about certain areas first. I mean, you gotta start somewhere.
Right,
I
that,
mean,
that
we just
initial
gotta
list
start.
is gonna dictate how we approach it, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a lengthy list, we might wanna isolate certain areas.
So it sounds like one of the first things you'd like us to do is to go into our GIS system and identify
Sure.
all of the parcels that are split
Yes.
by the zone.
Yeah.
Generate that list,
Yeah.
because we have, on our database, we do have the owners of the parcels, the addresses, the zone that they're in, so we can give you guys all that information, the
Right, and
zone
we
that's
have
counted in,
access
yeah.
to it too, but.
Yeah, but we can
No, you
parse
bring
it and summarize it
right.
and give it to you guys.
Can
in
you bring a
digested
monitor
form.
in? Can we use a monitor so that if we're taking a larger picture of a section, that by a cursor with the mouse, you can blow up an area so we can be,
Yeah.
whether it's on there or
Yeah,
wherever it might be.
we can do that.
Yeah.
We have the GIS.
And we might find out there might be one area that is more split properties than another, so worry
Right.
about one for now, or see how many there is.
Right.
Might be 20, there might be 100, we don't know.
So let me ask you, I haven't dug into the zoning bylaw just yet in advance. Wasn't able to do it in advance of this meeting. Is there a provision in your bylaw that governs what happens with a split? What is that, how is that handled?
Definition is wetlands, right, for the construction lands?
It has to do with percentage, I think, and where the frontage
There's a
is.
definition
the
of split
frontage.
lots
Yeah.
in our bylaw.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that big of a deal. I think it was maybe twice
Right.
we've seen
Yeah.
that it's
Right.
been a,
But it also
bigger
can be a
burden.
hindrance on somebody coming in, so they're looking to buy a piece of commercial land, they find out that 20% of it is residential. Well, they ain't gonna buy it, because
well,
now they're
it's
stuck.
zoned commercial.
Yeah,
If
but
it's
20%
split,
of
it's
it,
zoned commercial.
it's still though.
The
As
law
we
is
found out,
commercial.
there's ways, or.
Well,
makes
the
a
issue comes,
hindrance
for example,
on
we,
what goes
a
on.
few years back, we rezoned on West Street, someone who was paying a higher insurance rate because they had.
They used to have a commercial
Correct.
property
Correct.
operating
So
out
they
of there.
wanted to go fully residential.
Right, and
And those
that-
are the things that I think we're.
That is actually superimposed. It's supposed to go the opposite direction, and they were never supposed to be included in there when this first master map went. This was supposed to be flipped the other way, because Guaranteed Builders is on the other side.
Right,
And
But
then
that's-
Brittlebrook,
Maybe we can fix that.
and
right. See, these are all things
it
that.
doesn't matter though, at this point in CB, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like a made-up zone for that location.
Yeah.
It's a special zone. So, I mean, I'm just sensitive, I'm very sensitive to changing the zoning.
I'm not, I'm
Except
cleaning it
for
up.
unless it goes the opposite way for less stringent. Like you've got this village residential straddled by this. They're very different zones, very different
Yeah.
requirements for construction.
Right.
20,000 square
Right.
feet to 1 acre.
Right,
You can make a lot more. You can make twice as many lots.
right.
So that case, this is a burden to be in this zone.
Right.
So I just want to, I mean, I understand what you're doing with the split lots, but we have a provision for split lots and,
If a change is made or recommended by us and it becomes less restrictive, such as
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah.
village residential,
Right.
do we need town meeting support on that as well?
Yes.
Either
Yeah,
way,
it's
whether it's
Any way,
more or
Yeah.
less.
any change
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
require
Still need-
2/3
Any
town
change
meeting
has to
vote.
be.
Has to go
voted
to
in.
and the less restrictive also goes along with all those houses that were already built. And like Les has said before, okay, you got a house that
Yeah.
changed zoning and now it doesn't fit the setbacks.
But you get neighbors who are not the owners, who are gonna be in opposition to
Correct.
less
So,
restrictive.
but
Yeah.
all those people that can't fit a garage within the setbacks of the whichever one. the
I don't see that
RC1.
happening as much as the other. I think what would happen is it would, and that's why we would have the discussion. So if you're in an RC2 district adjacent to an RA district, we.
They are.
No,
These are
I'm looking at
VRs.
the center. At the
These are
cen-
VRs.
I'm looking at the orange blob
This
in the
one?
middle, yeah.
Okay. That's RC2.
This is an
Okay,
example.
RC2. So we would end up modifying that possibly to make more sense with what the current situation is, which
Sewer.
we had a proposal a few years back
Yeah.
to make that modification.
Yeah.
So if there's no sewer, then the less restrictive is not a good thing.
Right.
Because then
you
you're
can't fit a septic
overburdening,
on it.
you know,
Yeah.
and which can't
Yeah.
support that.
That's
Right.
that was part of the zoning as well.
Right. I mean, there are towns that are much more affluent than us who are controlling their zoning, controlling their growth through zoning changes.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Which is.
I mean, we're not overpopulated, but certainly we're overburdened, especially with single-family homes and schools and
Right,
stuff
and
like
we're
that.
trying to clean
Which
up
is
the zoning
part of this whole thing.
to allow if
Maybe
someone wants
not,
to come
maybe we're not
in.
allowed to take that into
Yeah,
consideration.
they can find a lot that is complete, and they can do something.
Right.
Good.
Any part of this specifically, Bill, that you think they ought to concentrate on first, or anybody on the board? Any-
I mean, did you
Not a
print
list.
this for him to take?
No, he
I
has
have
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't know if you
Actually,
wanted to
I
mark
have a
up.
small version right here.
Mike can mark up the plan where he sees that there's split lots so that they'd have a direction to go to.
Well, I think it's an easy exercise for Matt to generate
With
this
GIS.
query
Yeah.
with GIS.
Done first.
Boom, you get the
Yeah.
answer.
Okay.
And that's gonna tell us, if
What's
it's
that?
90% of the town, or if it's, 2%. And then that'll give us a little bit to think about.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can come up with a way that we can give even some sort of a sense of how much of a percentage split there is on each of these between these lots. We did that for another project. It wasn't something like this, but we were doing a build-out analysis for another town, and we were doing it by zone, and so we were able to do that, and that's not a difficult task at all.
Right, and it's not normally within the zone, it's on the fringes of zones connected to another zone. Right.
And the other thing was when we eliminated those aquifer, those well zones, that zone is still the protected, right? The
No.
ones over here?
No.
They changed.
They removed that from the Water Resource Protection Overlay District, so
Right.
those are no longer required to be larger dimensional lots
Okay.
with septic
But
systems.
the
That was the
overlay-
thing.
The overlay was voted to be removed.
The
Is that
overlay
right?
was
Okay.
voted to be reduced in size,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And what about wetlands and sort of topographical scenarios that you may or may not see, or at least when you do your overlay from the GIS and you see where extended areas of wetlands are? Does that impact how we look at whether something's industrial or something's higher, like village residential, meaning that you're gonna have less land area to put in appropriate septic as well? So-
Obviously, the constraints that you're talking about can be weighed in. You can weight it
Within an area.
within a given area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We do have all those. We do have all those layers. We can look and
Yeah.
see where the wetland protection areas are, where
Right.
any types of constraints. The one thing I would caution, though, given the small scope of this project, is that can get really complicated really
Of course,
fast.
Just another layer of.
So
Yeah.
we can definitely look at it. We can definitely look at like where at least where the wetlands and stuff are, so we can kind of give a sense whether or not that's, because that's an easy layer. We can just superimpose the zoning and whatever split lots we do over a layer that shows where all the wetlands are and where the big constraints are. That shouldn't be too complicated at all. Just so you guys can have a sense of whether or not it would make sense to include this parcel or that parcel as industrial versus residential.
But the sewer thing, that's important.
Yeah.
You just said is that for density.
If it's not available,
Correct.
that's why the master plan had that like that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. You got what you need?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Okay, so
Alright.
in just, the last thing I wanted to make sure that you will still continue to be my principal contact
Yes.
until we schedule the next meeting for review.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you very much for your time,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for making the trip, Ron. Did you want to add anything, Bill?
Well, only except that when someone makes the statements now about, more schools and stuff, the problem that we're actually having now is declining enrollment. People aren't aware of that. That's the problem with the schools now, is declining enrollment. When we get declining enrollment, we get less from the state. So you have to really, really look at what you think is true isn't anymore. People are too busy playing on their phones to have children, so they ain't coming.
Hey now. Somebody text me. Maybe you could rezone Wall Lake Terrace.
Yeah.
Get 2 acres on it.
Yeah. Spot zoning, like.
Bill,
never
this is,
seen it.
this is the bill for that scope of work that we just talked
No,
about?
that is our annual membership.
Oh, okay. And we need a vote to approve this amount?
Yeah, what, Maria's been out, so
Yeah.
I'd like you to vote to pay that, and then Ernie, you can come in and sign the voucher.
Right. The amount is $2,366.71.
So moved for payment.
Yep.
Second.
Second. Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda. Public hearing, Norman and Bernadette King, application for an accessory apartment, special permit, 21 Wallace Street. In accordance with the Town of Douglas accessory apartment zoning bylaws and the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, the Douglas Planning Board will be holding a public hearing on the application of Norman and Bernadette King for an accessory apartment special permit. Property location is 21 Wallace Street, Assessors Map 185, Parcel 13 in Douglas, Mass. Public hearing is being held on Tuesday, July 10th, 2018, at 7:15 PM in the Community Meeting Room, Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Copy of the application may be viewed in the Community Development Department during regular business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated. Ernest Marks, Chairman, Douglas Planning Board. Public hearing is now open. We have somebody,
Is this a whole new house? Is this a brand new
Yeah,
house?
yeah, it's a brand new house.
Okay.
What we're trying to do, we purchased the house from my mom and dad. There's a
Yep.
house on it that's existing that you can see on the plan.
Jammed up against the side.
Yeah. So what we would like to do is to build this new house with the in-law apartment being less than 900 square feet, a place for my mom and dad to live, being a family, and looking to get the accessory apartment permit because it's an R1 area, I believe R1. And then at that time, when the house is complete, we'll tear down the existing home and landscape it.
It's a home and an apartment,
Yes.
Yeah,
two separate things.
Yeah.
that's great.
Well, it's all combined, one
Yeah.
house.
You got doors between, I mean, it's got real drawings.
You look at- right.
Yeah, you know how I am about that. So the proposed house, you don't, okay, there we go, wow. You're gonna pull it in substantially from the side and conform with setbacks and everything, huh?
For the new septic system.
Right. Refrigerators. Yeah, it's fine.
So what's the square footage in total?
I was gonna say,
I believe it's
834.
No, that's
That's the
this
in-law.
part. What about the
Six.
in-law bedroom, the in-law bath, the in-law
no,
closet?
the entire in-law apartment is under
You're
900.
doing a studio, like an open studio?
It's a open concept with,
Oh, in-law
kitchen.
bedroom here.
It's-
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
And a bathroom
834.
behind it.
580 plus the
Yeah.
154 plus the
Plus the
bathroom.
bath.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I
It
see
should be
it.
listed
postal code,
interior.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the laundry
834.
area, 141, 154, 580.
Yeah, it's blended, they got a
Okay.
second floor in the
And
middle.
39 square
29
feet for
for the
the,
bath.
Yeah, shower, for the closet.
It's
Yeah.
terrific. She has a separate entrance. I don't know, I mean, terrific, I mean, it's laid out, somebody thought about what they're
I'm
doing.
surprised you don't have your scale.
I don't need the scale, I can tell.
you could just tell.
bionic eyes.
Bill, any concerns or questions?
Nope.
Looks pretty good to me.
Make a motion to grant the,
Let's close public hearing.
oh, you wanna ask?
Anybody in the audience have any comments or questions about this application? Seeing none?
Make a motion to close the public hearing and grant the special permit for the accessory apartment at 21 Wallace Street.
With our standard conditions.
With standard.
Yeah, I just have one question that I just saw. Why are you putting a second door in her unit into the bedroom? Why is there a door into the bedroom? From the outside? I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, it's kind of fire exit, most,
You don't need it. You just need a window.
It's their
Exit.
but
design,
still,
Aaron.
I know. I'm just
as they get
throwing
older,
it
it's
in.
gonna be a 3-foot wide doorway, so.
Take
it
that up
became
with
handicap
Chapman
accessible.
Design Service.
No, it's just,
It's actually handicap accessible.
right.
You can come right up to the porch.
So they don't have to walk through the
Right.
whole.
I know, but it's just an observation. Wasn't anything more.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
He's thinking ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
I've already seconded it.
Okay, any other questions? Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Mike.
Z.
Mike Z.
Oh,
Okay.
Ken already
Oh, Ken
seconded.
did?
I think so.
All right.
Actually,
Ken
I
did it.
did, but that's.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Okay, given that we're not meeting for a month, I would like to draft the decision. I'll circulate it electronically. If anyone has issues, contact me directly.
Okay.
And then, once everybody says it's good, I'll let you know to come in and sign
Sign
it.
Sure.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with everything, thank you.
That's the first in my life. I've ever seen a door into a bedroom. You get people wig out, try to put a slider in the backyard.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Here's your peeps. Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
After 7:30.
Next item on the agenda.
No, they're taking my doorway away.
It's not quite set.
But you know what,
Sometimes, with clients, and then if someone does a drawing, and then I meet with them, and they go, yeah, I never wanted a door.
it happens almost all the time. Something is, they didn't think about it.
Way
and
too passionate.
That's what I do,
I know.
all the time.
That's good, Aaron.
There.
Oh, jeez.
Gonna wait till 7:30.
7:30.
Can we do something out of discussion? or-
7:28.
Something quick? Sign vouchers or something?
Clean at Hunts Pond, I can knock out.
Knock it out.
All right.
I saw it way back in here.
Yeah, there was a condition in the decision. I've been holding the covenant, which was signed by the board, along with the signed Mylars for the lane. And I've been waiting for an agreement with the Water and Sewer Department because there was discussion during the project of the Water and Sewer Department constructing that section from the cul-de-sac to Brookside Drive
Yep.
for the water line. So we didn't want to wait for the Water and Sewer Department to get us their feedback, so we closed the hearing and inserted the condition that we get a copy of the agreement. There's no agreement, so the issue becomes, basically, the developer is not going to have the Water and Sewer Department construct that section of the water pipe. They will take ownership of it. In doing that, that modified some of the language in the covenant. Town councils reviewed it. Alan Riley came in earlier today, gave him a copy of the revisions. He's gonna get it signed on his end before he comes forward to get your signature on it. So I'll distribute a copy of what the latest covenant is. And what will likely happen, I'll probably get it in fairly short order over the next week, I'd say, signed by Alan's end. So I'd like to have you stop in, I'll let you know when I get it, to sign our end, and then I'll release the drawings and the covenant.
So the one we have in our packet tonight, this is just, that is,
What's this one?
That letter is the initial letter
Right.
that came in from the Water and Sewer Department. Actually, this one came in today. That's the one that came in today. Basically saying they're going to take ownership of construction of the entire water line.
Okay.
All right, so there you go, yep.
Does that have to be addressed on the plans or anything, Bill?
No.
No?
It's just a notation on who's gonna take responsibility of the water line.
They showed the design on the plans. They presented it as though the water department
Right.
was going to construct it.
Yeah.
Because they thought there was some relief in wetlands permitting, which is not the case. So, since that is not the case, they are now constructing it, and that takes away the need to have an agreement.
All right, everybody look that over?
Sounds good.
All right, 7:30. Public hearing, New England Realty Ventures LLC, application for an aquifer protection special permit, site plan review permit, and special permit 74 Main Street. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 9 of the Town of Douglas zoning bylaws, Section 8.1, Water Resource Protection Overlay District, Town of Douglas zoning bylaws, Section 9.4, Site Plan Review, and Section 9.3, Special Permits. Douglas Planning Board is holding a public hearing on the application of New England Realty Ventures LLC for permits to construct a 5,146 square foot commercial building on a 5.346 acre parcel with a convenience store with a drive-through for coffee sales for a portion of the space and office space for the remaining space. The proposed site is located at 74 Main Street, assesses map 188, parcel 33, as shown on a plan prepared by New England Realty Ventures LLC entitled Site Plan Application for Proposed Commercial Development by Alfred
Finish?
Benish and Company, 90 National Drive, Glastonbury, Connecticut, dated June 19th, 2018. Public hearing is being held on Tuesday, July 10th, 2018, at 7:30 PM in the Community Meeting Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Copy of the plan may be viewed in the Community Development Department during regular business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at time and place designated. Ernest Knox, Chairman, Douglas Planning Board. Public hearing is now open.
This is where the circus comes.
No more
So I
No
have
more
everybody's
circus.
copy.
Or culturally
I have
neglected.
3 copies.
Yeah, I do.
There are 3 different permit applications.
Oh,
One's
okay.
aquifer, one's special permit for drive-through, and the last one's site plan review.
They all have the same application number?
I'm not sure what Maria did.
Okay. SP and SPR?
Yeah, site
Okay,
plan review,
okay.
special
Yep.
permit, and then the other one should
Permit.
be
Yep.
AQ, maybe.
AQ, yep, got it. Okay.
They all came in on the same date, so the number should be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Somebody here speak on this?
Yes, I'm happy to present. If I may,
Yeah,
just to put
help
it easy,
yourself.
and put this up for.
Just give your name and who you are
Surely.
for the record.
We may be shifting these things back and forth. My name is George Carizzi, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is George Carizzi. I'm an attorney in West Boylston. I focus.
You're in Douglas.
What's that? I know.
You're an attorney in Douglas
I'm an
now.
attorney from West Boylston, and now I'm an attorney in Douglas. And with me tonight is Mark Lee, who's also an attorney, and Angela Cormier, she's from my office, she's an attorney. We also have Russell Sear, who is a civil engineer, professional engineer. He's with the firm of Alfred Benish and Company. And then Jennifer Conley, who's the traffic engineer, who's done some traffic studies and traffic reporting relative to this application. Alfred Benish and Company, Russell Sear, has developed these plans, and he's the one who submitted the 3 applications that's before you tonight. There's 2 special permit applications and an application for site plan review. Historically, there was a previous application for special permit. There's been recent changes to the Douglas zoning bylaw, which has combined special permit for the drive-through and site plan review with the planning board as a so that there's one board review. That's a recent change that just passed. And so everybody involved thought it would be best to present a concerted effort to this board for review. So at this point, I'd like to just acclimate the board. I'm sure the board is, but the board in the audience, what, should I continue on or?
Like that for a second.
He just had to tell those guys.
Yeah, they were
Quiet
walking back
down.
there.
Thank you. At this point, I'd just like to acclimate the board to the property. The property is located at 74 Main Street. Currently it's a vacant parcel of land. It's just a little under 5.5 acres in area. It's located at the intersection of Rydell Street and Main Street. The property Main Street, of course, is Route 16, and it's located on the northerly side of Main Street and the easterly side of Rydell. Topographically, the property is a relatively flat, although it's 5.5 acres, it's a relatively flat field. It does have some slopes at the outer edges of the property, but it's a very large property that's generally very, very flat. It has over 560 feet of frontage on Main Street, so this is the primary frontage for the property. And the applicants are proposing a commercial building and development with on-site parking and on-site traffic. And that's what the site plan proposes. The site will be accessed from Main Street and from Rydell on both of those roads. And we have engaged Jennifer Conley, who is the traffic engineer, to assess the site, and she'll be here to answer any questions relative to traffic studies. So her studies were done based on engineering standards and certain adjustments that's required by Mass DOT. She can explain the calculus for it, but she's conducted her studies for that. Studies were done for an assessment of peak travel times in order to determine the quality of the level of service and the effect of the project would have on the level of service. She'll be able to tell the board, based on her review, this particular proposal for a drive-through would have no negative impact on the level of service on Main Street or on Rydell. So we do propose on-site a traffic flow. You can see the arrows for the traffic. Traffic comes in, it goes around the building, comes through the drive-through, exits either out through Rydell and then continues back on Main Street, or back on Main Street, or it comes in around the building and back out. The property in the design of the property, they've anticipated a stack or a queuing for vehicles to be serviced by this. The property on site has capacity for over 35 vehicles in the queue, in the stack. Based on the analysis of other drive-throughs, that's about 3 times the requirement for the most busiest of drive-throughs. So there is no, based on the engineers are very confident that there is no risk of stacking that would reach one of the public ways. The stacking will all occur on site. So that's one
What's the number of queuing?
35. It's a double stacking system, and they believe they have sufficient stacking for 35 vehicles.
Does that include the parking, or does that
No,
just
that's
include
just,
people?
that's just stacking. There is parking, there is a, as discussed, this is gonna have a convenience store and a coffee restaurant, facility. Parking has been designed to meet the requirements of the zoning bylaw relative to those uses under zoning, so there's sufficient parking for that. So one of the other things that we do when they design their site is they look to see, they lay the site out as best as they can. So the first thing they do is they look at the points of egress and access to the site. First of all, you try to create those things so that they are perpendicular to the roads. And so you'll note here that the access off of Main Street and the access off of Rydell are virtually perpendicular to the roads. That's the first thing you try to do. T-intersections are the best for egress and access. Second thing they do is that when you are looking at intersections on the same side of the road, you try to locate the egress or the entry into the property far away from the competing intersection. So in this case, they've located the access on Main Street 350 feet away from the intersection. This is over 240 feet away from the intersection here. So they have located their access and egress points relative to the competing intersections as best they can. When you look at intersections on the other side of the road, you try to locate them across the street. So that, as you notice here, this is directly across from Brookline Terrace, so therefore you don't have close, but you put them right across the street if that's available, and that's what they've done in this case. So we have in this case located them as best as we can. The next thing you do is you take a look for site distances to see what the property accommodates for site distance. Traffic engineers gone out there, the design engineers looked at this. Main Street in this location is a very straight shot of roadway. It's a very long, straight shot of roadway with over 1,000 feet of site distance. The stopping site distance on this site accommodates, is double the stopping site distance for 40 miles an hour. It's more than, at 50 miles an hour, we have more than enough stopping site distance at excessive speeds. So this is the roadway is, Main Street is already, at this location, has sufficient stopping site distances because it's largely a 1,000-foot shot of straight, uninterrupted site. And Jennifer will be able to talk more about that if you have any questions. But the site distances are calculated well in excess of the minimum requirements. At 40 miles an hour, the distance would only be 300 feet, but we have over 1,000 feet. So, even though the site, Main Street, has sufficient site distance in its current form, the applicant has explored the possibility of improving this section of Main if considered by the board, if this board, the planning board thinks that's warranted. And this area of Main Street has sufficient width that it would accommodate the creation of a new turning lane, so that they can create an island, they can create a turning lane that would accommodate this traffic. You'd still have pass-through traffic that would be able to pass in a turning traffic, which would be fine. With the capacity on site for the stack, there would be no backup here. There would be no stacking in the road. I'm not saying that that's required, but that's what's been proposed. If that's something that the board is inclined to require, it's something that is available. This particular stretch of roadway accommodates that kind of design.
Painted or an actual island?
Well, they can do either one. It would be DOT, because this is a state numbered road, so we would have to comply with whatever DOT
The
would
state
require.
owns this portion of the roadway?
I can't tell you that.
No,
The state doesn't own it.
Okay.
no.
The town owns it.
Yeah.
And what's the increase on the width of that side, like from existing to, say, if you were gonna expand that area? 10 feet additional along that? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there is a water body on that side though, too.
That's Mr. Sear, by the way, that's Russell
Yeah,
Sear,
you
he's the,
introduced
okay.
him. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So, the next thing that we're doing, and I know I'm trying to blitz through this, I know the board's got a heavy meeting, so, traffic flow and safety, I'll look at the criteria that the bylaw calls for on this. We've addressed the exterior traffic considerations relative to what we have in, what our engineers have come up with. Interior, we've discussed how traffic would flow through there. Again, there's 2 points of access, and it explains why we have located them where we are. We do have 37 parking spaces, that's more than adequate for the proposed uses. One of the next criteria is social, economic, and community needs. This proposal contemplates new commercial construction. It is retail and office space. It'll provide a place of employment for some. It'll provide a place where consumers' needs may be able to be met. It's going to provide a service to community residents. So to the extent that the bylaw requires a consideration of the economic needs, this is a commercially zoned property, and we're proposing a commercial use appropriate for the site. Utilities and services, this is Main Street. All of the facilities are immediately available without any need for additional expansion, so we're not gonna have to extend to them. They're already available there. As far as the neighborhood characteristics, the property is in a commercial zone. The zone is on both sides of Main Street, and it runs, the use of this property as a commercial center is entirely compatible both with the area and with the zoning map and the zoning of the town of Douglas. The natural environment, there are very few natural or environmental impacts associated with the site. The entire site will be designed out to meet stormwater management. If there is Concom jurisdictional areas, we'll deal with Concom, but it's a pretty flat, large property with minimal wetland impact. So there are no endangered species, for instance, so we feel confident that there'd be no problem navigating through Concom if it is jurisdictional. Finally, the fiscal impact of the site. It'll be an improvement to the tax base. We're gonna turn a vacant parcel into a fully taxed commercial property. It'll have no impact on schools or municipal services. It's not as though it's a residential development that's gonna produce, a demand or a need. This is a commercial use in a commercial zone with minimal impact on the municipal services. It does provide an opportunity for employment without any measurable adverse effect. So this is an application for a special permit and for site plan review. As I said, the engineers are here, both traffic and design, and they're able, they'll be willing to answer any questions. As a special permit, we keep in mind that these uses are anticipated. It's not like we're here asking for a variance, which, this is a use that's contemplated by the bylaw. So we would suggest to you that this is something that, in the board's reasonable discretion, can envision this type of use for this type of commercial property. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any legal questions you might have, and we have engineers here that's happy to answer any engineering questions.
You said it has utilities, which is town water and electric,
On-site septic.
and you're gonna have septic on site.
On-site septic, yes, sir.
When this originally went before the zoning board, there was some talk at one, notice you have no plans for the intersection of Rydell and Main Street. There was talk of doing something at that intersection, you think, at one time?
Absolutely, I requested it as well
Yeah.
when they were
Yeah.
here,
We-
for that pole to be relocated.
We looked at that.
Telephone pole.
We looked at it. Obviously, when the town built their the emergency building, they didn't consider it such a problem to do that.
I don't think they generated the flow that your use would.
I see the difference is, and if I can just address the flow, this type of use is not really a destination use. It's the traffic on the road that's going there. So it's not as though this is generating traffic. Traffic may flow in and out, but it's not generating new use. There's 1,000 cars a road on Main Street during those hours. You're not gonna have 1,200 cars now generated on that road.
Right, but there will be additional flow using that intersection at Rydell.
And back when this first came up, because this kind of came in front of us, that was brought
Before it
up,
went to
and there was no problem with that being removed, okay? Now,
Relocated.
relocated.
Yeah.
And on the
talked
turning
about-
lane,
The pole.
we had talked about a turning lane, and that was looked at, and I think the state mandated that a turning lane will be installed on that road.
Love it. I mean, that's fine. If the board
So, I
wants
mean,
the turning lane,
those are
we have
things
no
that we
problems
already
with that.
know about, and we've already kind of said that stuff's gonna happen one way or another.
So the turning lane, just so that I can address that issue, that's easy, because we've
Yep.
proposed it, and I'm all set with that. I do know that we looked at the pole, and the pole is limited, so we have limited options relative to the pole. We could build an island around it, but moving that pole is not something that really is feasible. Number one, the location of the pole, it's not as though our property will now serve that. They wouldn't move it this way. Would be a lateral move back into the right of way, it's still, it's still not, it doesn't gain much by moving.
I think it's pretty
It does,
important,
because-
only because people get confused all the time. I don't know if you've ever driven on that road,
Whether you go
but they
left
get
around it, right around it.
confused with the
So
V.
if
There's
we-
just one
It's very
pole in the
confusing.
middle. Because it goes
Yeah.
in both and out both.
So let me, go ahead.
You'd have,
Yeah, can I have Jennifer, she's the expert on that, so
Yeah.
let,
No, I mean, I do recall us bringing this up before. One of the issues is obviously the moving of the pole has to be done by the utilities, which although we could certainly make a contribution to them, we don't know when or how that would happen. It's, if anyone has dealt with them before, which I'm sure your engineer has.
That's why we want you to do it.
Yeah, but the trouble is, it still is beyond our control, so, even if it was a condition, we would not be agreeable to it being done before we open, because we don't know if they would do it before we opened.
When do you anticipate opening?
I don't, yeah.
It can be,
I
If
mean,
everything goes.
let's not, I'll talk at her.
I don't know that, but perhaps the attorney can speak to that. But as far as if you wanted us to propose, and I think at the time we did look at some designs for ways to protect the pole or to build, a raised island around it or do something with, that would have at each end the keep right signs as you typically see it, an intersection with an island. I'm certain my client would be amenable to any of those solutions. I think the fear is just, we don't have control over what the utilities will do. It's not something we can just hire someone to go out and do for us.
Okay, I understand that. My concern about the intersection of Rydell and Main Street is that people coming down Rydell, they don't bear to the right and then make a turn. People enter it from, and exit it
Sure.
on both
So-
sides of that road.
Right.
So there would have to be some kind of signage or some kind of an island or something to
control.
control which way
Yeah,
people turn when they come out of
pavement markings. I
there.
mean, then
I
you would
don't
do
think,
pavement
I don't
markings.
think when you're getting your poles, I mean, how many poles are gonna be associated with the new project? When you get your poles, they're gonna move those poles. Those poles can be a part of it.
I'm just trying to see if we have a better,
I looked throughout, I don't see, you don't have a good intersection shot right
There's-
it's
now.
not, this is probably the
One-
best one we've got, and of course, it's black and white, and it's faded, so it's not,
Overall site
but
plans.
I do believe that it would probably, lend itself to island construction. I don't know, Russ, if you know, or if anybody, if you can scale it out. Do
We
know
have,
what the
we have
width
laid
of
that out
Rydell here?
before. There is plenty of, it's a very wide intersection, which is why people
Yes, it is,
treat
yeah.
it like a Y
Right.
intersection. I mean, we've
Yeah.
all been all over New England. There are
Yeah.
plenty of those Y intersections where there's two-way on both sides.
Correct.
So it would need to be kind of tightened up as well, and we would use pavement markings in a raised island, as I said. So it certainly could become a more standard T intersection with an island separating the two directions of traffic.
I would still like to see, we have the opportunity, you're proposing this huge commercial project and what are we getting? It's, I mean, taxes, yes, for sure, but you have the opportunity to engage with the utility company for your new poles, just move it then. And that would not hold up anything.
And I know that.
The problem with that
project-
intersection is that you've got 30 feet of pavement on each side of that pole. You
Okay.
got a 60-foot, so
Mhm.
that's 2 lanes of traffic on each side of the pole.
Yeah.
That's the way it currently is, right?
Yeah.
You know, we could,
See, the problem is, I don't know that you can span.
We don't know.
No, you can do a right lane, turning only, right? And a left, and then the other way, just do one.
So if I'm just getting this right, just hold on.
You need to move the pole.
I know, but I'm trying to say, are you suggesting we move the pole keep it in the?
Anywhere outside of the,
Within the
Middle.
right of way,
yeah,
but
I would
outside
advise
of the paved
second
area.
pole here
Yeah.
on Rydell.
Yeah, but see, the problem is the width is so wide there.
I understand that, but. that's
They,
not-
they easily
problem is you
span
got 2
300
lanes of
feet of
traffic.
poles.
Yeah.
I mean,
2 lanes of traffic on each side of the pole. And that's always gonna be a problem no matter what you do, unless you change that to where you have one side of the pole going one direction, out and the other side coming in.
We could tighten up the curb radii in the intersection and make it more of a defined, if you put an island in it, it would define where the
Well, and that becomes
Traffic
even
flow.
less of an issue. I think the critical, at least from one board member's point of view, is moving the pole. So that would be, I think what the critical question is for you, I mean, is it common if they're coming to provide service to the site, is it a common thing that they would be able to move the pole in the public right-of-way at the
Well,
same time?
First of all, our service is coming off an existing pole on Rydell, and it's gonna be underground, so there's no new poles
Mm-hmm.
associated with this project.
But you said, our town engineer, would you say 300 feet? Sometimes they
You
can
could span a
span.
pole, you know.
Right, but again, I think he's saying it's gonna be a different crew than a different,
It will be a different
Approach.
approach. I agree.
But just something, like I said,
But-
it's something that was brought up way back in the beginning, way back.
We've had great success with National Grid. Verizon, not as well as National Grid, but nonetheless, we've had good success with them being responsive to requests that the town supports as safety issues. And clearly, this would be a safety issue. And, you know, I think it wouldn't be unreasonable to say if the town supports it, supports your request to, you know, move the pole, I think National Grid would be
We're
out
gonna
there.
petition for the selectmen, right, for a new one?
It would be a poll petition
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Those two things.
But you would have to do something at that intersection to replace the function of that
Yeah,
pole
as
now.
they're doing the other
So you'd have to
markings in
have
the
to do
street.
something like she was
There'd be some
suggesting, a
traffic
monument or
improvements.
something, yeah.
Well,
You'd have
no,
to
I
change.
think what people have in mind is having seamless pavement from curb to curb with perhaps two turning,
striping to.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
something
Two
like that.
directions.
The reason the pole
So
is there
3
is
lanes,
the line
basically.
runs up Rydell from that pole. So it would involve the installation of a second pole to make the bend in
In
the
my-
line.
Yeah.
So you'd have to move that pole over and install a second pole in Rydell.
Something to look at.
So Ernie, you're
It's
saying.
probably a little
It's
trickier
worth-
than we could handle
I-
in the
I
town. That's
suspect
why it's
that-
always been there.
I suspect that's why it's still
Yeah.
there. And I suspect,
That's
you
why
know,
I'm adamant
What I
that
would suggest
we need
is,
to
but,
improve that.
you know, I haven't done a thorough review for
Right.
tonight. So what I would suggest is you think about that, and we could talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay, great.
Is that something from the town's point of view you could make an inquiry to National Grid about? Because
Oh, I know we can.
you know, just to ask them what their thoughts are on it. You're
Yeah.
thinking about making this recommendation, and at least we can get some of that initial feedback, and if it comes from the town, it probably has a little more juice than if it comes from a private developer.
I mean, I think we all would like to see the pole moved.
Understood.
If that doesn't come out to be at least something on the plan that's going to designate what the traffic flow is gonna be in and out of Rydell, because there's nothing on that plan right now that shows anything on Rydell. We need you're gonna be generating traffic going
Yeah.
through there, and like, people don't, they turn whichever way they wanna turn right now, and that can't happen if you're gonna have a commercial site there.
And the majority of the drive-through people will be exiting onto Rydell.
Probably,
And
yeah.
if you park there and then you're turning right, you'd rather go out that way instead of going onto Main Street, or
Right.
the opposite. You know what I'm saying?
But, for the next meeting.
If
we
you're
can get
turning
some-
left, is what
And
I
we can
meant to
inquire
say.
in the meantime.
The town
That's
transfer
electric.
center is
Yeah.
right there, and people, there's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday's busy. People coming in, coming out.
So we'll generate something with Mass Electric, National Grid, whatever.
You're old, huh?
You're dating yourself,
Like,
Frank.
what, please?
Just dated myself. With National Grid and
That's great.
Verizon and take it from there. Okay.
All right, I have a couple little things. Dumpster area, the way you have that laid out, with the vehicles going around that flow,
You wanna take the color plan off?
yeah, right there.
Right here.
So-
I'll let you deal with it.
Somebody goes in, they go in with a, say a 30-footer to dump that dumpster, and cars start coming up behind them, you're gonna be in trouble. There isn't enough room there. That should be moved further up on that map, that location, to make room for it. And also where you have your parking for your tractor trailer unload and reload, we got a 12x65 there. Cutting a little bit tight. You got a 48-foot trailer with a twin drive tractor, you're gonna be that length and then some. You're leaving no room there for him moving in and around when you have the traffic, the backup at that drive-through window. So,
You could be right.
I know, I'm saying, I know, I mean, I've been in this situation, so I'm telling you. All right, that's
We
tight.
ran Auto Turn, a program that I ran a WB-50 through the site.
It's all on a
That's the
computer.
first problem.
Yeah, let's go to the real world.
Auto Turn is conservative. These, you
Get them
know,
out of there.
Auto Turn is conservative.
So, I mean, in the real world, I know what you're saying, but in the real world, that's too tight.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a jam area and somebody's gonna get backed into.
Yeah, we could probably push it back.
You need to move that area a little bit. Wintertime, where you plan on snow dump?
off to the side.
Just wherever?
Huh?
Are you gonna have curbing in there? All the way around?
The Tumas curb.
In the traffic area, in the
Off
queuing
the side.
area?
Off the
In the
side.
green area.
Okay.
Are you done?
I-
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
You-
I'm kinda, yeah, right now, that's good, but those
I-
two major concerns up there on the top side.
I just have two quickies here. Are you the same firm that presented this project a couple years ago? Or are you new- a new
Same
group?
team.
Just 2 years ago.
Okay.
I don't think we made
Number
it to
two, you
planning
made-
board.
Yeah.
It was zoning.
Fine, that's,
You were here
They
for
were
site
here.
plan review.
they came through here first, yeah.
Yeah.
Thought we never got through C.
Number two, you made reference to a traffic study.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we have that?
Yeah, she's gonna present that out.
We don't have it here.
Oh,
We
Bill
don't,
does.
it wasn't part of the package.
Yeah.
We probably have it in the old submittal.
We'll get you a new copy.
Yeah, we need a new copy.
We'll supply it.
And electronically too.
Certainly.
Actually, since you saw it, I think the counts were updated.
Yeah, we had done some additional data collection for the zoning board and addressed a few
Yeah.
questions they had. We'll make sure you get both copies.
How many copies do you want?
Well, we'll send it
I,
electronically.
yeah, if I get one, I'll send the rest electronically. If you want an executive summary that we could distribute, that'd be good too.
On the turn-in lane, how many vehicles can sit in that lane?
Right here?
Yeah,
5
five.
Yeah, that's
It's
plenty.
about,
plus.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that design
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Route
yeah,
16.
that's
That's
good.
Mr.
Now, on the
Flores,
site distance, Russ?
widening the
1,000
road some?
feet, he says.
10 feet.
1,000 feet or.
This is the existing is the pavement area.
Yeah, yeah.
No offense.
Go ahead, Bill. Yeah.
I want to ask Russ, site distance meets ASHTO?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
I measured it out, I just made a note in my field notes, which I referred back to. It's over 400 feet in each direction. I know other folks have measured it to be significantly longer than that, but I stopped measuring at 400 because what's required for the site is actually 300. So we have well in excess of what's required.
What was your
for ASHTO.
methodology that you used to measure that?
Or how I actually did it in the field. The stopping site distance, you measure it from the
Not
travel.
stopping, cornering site distance as you're pulling out of the site.
The intersection site distance.
Yes.
That I actually didn't measure, but given the clear lines here, I would assume it's gonna be similar and be well over the 400 feet, and I can certainly go out and measure that, but that tends to be more a measure of driver convenience, where stopping site distance is, can you see if someone pulls out and stalls, can you stop to avoid the collision?
Well, I
It's
think
the
both
measure
are
of
important, so
safety.
I would suggest we do the cornering one as well.
Yeah, the left side is you had
Right.
east, that's a shorter sight line.
And
No.
then there was an accident at the top of the crest, right? A while back with the sun.
Sun.
So that's also another thing. I don't know if you took that into
East-west.
consideration, coming up the hill. And the sun is coming out. There was an accident,
Sure.
a serious one, so I don't know the details and the distance and the location of, it was more, I think, at the top of the crest at
The hill this way?
dusk.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like
coming up the hill.
Going-
Yeah.
Coming down.
Right?
Oh, was it going?
Coming towards
Oh, the
town.
hill's
Well, it was
going
morning
down.
sun.
Coming towards town.
That's
Was morning
right.
sun?
It was morning sun is my
Okay.
understanding.
That's
Yeah,
over
you got
600
an
Yeah,
evening
that would
sun
be-
going the other way.
Right, that would be well beyond
That's a
what
problem
the
too.
required sight lines for this,
Okay.
these driveways are right
We
now.
have a photograph of, you can see for everything.
Okay. And then, I know you like to have it directly across from an adjacent way, but there is residential across there, so I know we had an issue with, the headlights, on that last project,
Oh, yeah, but this, yeah,
Right,
they're
but
not,
this is
they wouldn't, the
lined up
buildings
to
are
the
off.
driveway.
Oh,
It
okay.
isn't lined up to
Okay.
a house, it's
Yeah,
lined up
it's
to
lined up, yeah, the houses
street
are off to
directly
the
across
side.
the way.
Okay. I thought there was one house that was facing that
I think this
way.
driveway goes down and then the
Here.
house is way over here.
And then
Yeah,
there's
there's
another
one-
one on the other
there's one
side.
on each
Down
side,
the
Okay.
hill also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
And do you anticipate any tractor trailers trying to get in here?
Oh, yeah,
That's a
they
good
have to for
question.
delivery.
I'll just
No, for
delivery.
customers too, though.
Customers.
Customers, well,
'Cause this is like the main stuff.
Yeah.
right?
That's a
Find
great
parking in
question.
there.
yeah, I had asked that before.
Yeah, can they access the drive up, the tractor trailers? Are they gonna have to get
Oh, I
out?
don't think they're gonna
Right,
attempt
right,
to
I
do
know, they're
that.
just gonna get out, but do you have loading for them, parking?
Yeah, there is for
No.
loading and unloading.
That's
But
not a
that's it.
requirement. We're not required to
So you don't
park a
anticipate
tractor
that, so
trailer
you'll
on
have,
site. Customer.
Your little
Well, you-
signs.
And maybe that's something we
We
can
have a
take a
track,
look
we,
at
we
to
we
see
can
if
get
there
a
is
tractor
somewhere
trailer
we can
through this, I get a
accommodate it.
WB-50 tractor trailer through this site.
Well, I just don't want them
Through the
parking in
drive-through?
the fire department's parking lot, walking across the street, and
Right, I mean, it's a
like
way
they're
to
gonna have it as a little.
Yeah, Russell.
accommodate them
I-
for us,
If
maybe.
we're taking a
Case.
look at moving a couple of things on the site, we can take a look to see if there's at least one parking area that would be appropriate for a tractor trailer.
Yeah,
I mean, they can come up and they could probably park, I don't know, somewhere, they could probably park
We
along
can
here.
look at that.
Because you're gonna have, you're saying you're having retail and you're having.
How often is that gonna happen? I mean,
But
But it's
what I'm
You don't
saying-
know.
No,
It could be a
it's gonna
hangout.
happen a lot, it's gonna be a problem.
I can tell you for a
I'm telling
fact,
you, yeah.
the Dunkin' Donuts that's there right
So,
now.
so you either have to prohibit them or you have to accommodate them. It's one or the other.
There's a lot of traffic that runs on 16.
Dunkin' Donuts is there right now at the family convenience store. There are a lot of trucks that pull into the highway department parking lot and park and go across the street and get coffee or whatever they want to get out of that convenience store. There's no place for them to park, like, unless they pull into the fire department, which I don't know if the fire department would be too crazy about that.
well, we could, I'm looking at it right now, we could probably put a pull-off over here, right?
Well, along one of the access roads that
One
come
of the
in, you could
problems
have a pull-up.
you have, if you actually accommodate them to kind of do it. If I were driving a tractor trailer truck and I saw a site like that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna move down, I'm gonna drive down to the next
To
one.
the next
No,
one.
You know,
what they're gonna do is you're gonna pull off on the side of the road, jump out of your truck and go in and get a
But
coffee.
they've always,
'Cause that's the
they're
real
already
world.
going
It
across
happens
the
at the one up
way.
here
Done
on
it, okay?
146.
Done it more than once, come along, or whatever, you're just gonna pull off on the curbside, and you're gonna hop out and you're gonna do it. You see it on Route 12, you
That
see it
just
all
takes
over.
signage that no truck, no parking. And
Right, I mean, if you make it so they
And they get a
can't.
ticket if
Take a
they
look
get
at
caught
it.
parking there. I'm just saying, if you're not gonna allow, you're either,
Then
you're gonna have to
yeah,
allow
that's
trucks
right.
and
You have to
accommodate them or
deal
not
with it
allow
one
them.
way or
That's what it comes down
So
to.
I've got a punch list here, I'm gonna review with you both listening. So, for purposes of going back and tweaking this for next presentation, if we can accommodate trucks, we're gonna come back with a plan that shows where we're gonna accommodate them on site.
Okay.
If we can't, we're gonna come back with a site plan that shows signage that says no
Yeah,
trucks.
that
Fine.
works.
Yeah,
Right?
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah.
That works.
Because you will get them, like I said, they park all day long at the highway department. We don't say
Hey,
anything.
look. Oh,
They
yeah,
pull in and
8
out
hours, they
all
have to
day
be
long.
off the, they have to
I
be off
just can't
the
imagine
thing.
somebody being so brazen. I mean, to pull
Oh,
up
yeah.
a fire station and park.
George, you don't drive a
Bathroom.
truck.
I know I
You
don't,
drive
so
a
I
The
mean,
bathroom.
wait, I won't stop at a Dunkin' Donuts that's got 3 cars in the queue.
We're the
I
landscape
mean,
capital of the world, so these guys have these trailers and everything.
That's what I think of, is not as much the tractor trailer, but more the landscape.
But you have a lot of, right, you have a lot of both going on and up on the
Yeah,
16.
Route 16 is a major truck route.
Right, so.
Okay,
What else?
any other questions?
Just a curious question, because of the coffee dumping, has the septic been approved yet?
No.
Okay, so, are you designing it? Okay, so you know about the issues that they have with all that coffee going down the
The
drain?
acid, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Usually, I've heard of so many, like Holliston, Medway, having to replace their fields like every 2 years.
Actually, I installed a septic system in a coffee shop, and they put in what's called a white night. It's a bubbler that
Okay,
acidifies it.
okay.
So
Alright,
that's how we can-
just wondering.
White night for the dark
And
roast.
are we going, or can we do something with the town, members being preferential on employees? I know that some towns say, okay, we're gonna have to give the people of Douglas kind of first dibs on jobs.
No, I've never
No.
heard that.
Oh.
I thought you were gonna say we get
Be a full-
special
Free coffee?
free coffee. I was all for that.
I suspect that, I mean, given
No.
the fact that this is Dunkin' Donuts, you're gonna get, it's a little
Have
quiet.
have you written that verbiages? I know,
I've
I
never
read it
seen
today
I've
in
never
one of,
seen
in a decision on a huge developments in one of the towns, so that's why I'm bringing it up, so,
I've never come across that in my
I
experience.
think
okay,
if we were looking for a TIF,
yeah, maybe.
and we had a contract
Okay.
with the town,
Okay,
that would be part of the negotiation process.
Right.
so you're not,
They're not.
I'm sorry?
Well,
So
the
you're not-
practical matter is they
Yeah.
will, the local people would probably apply here and they'd probably
yeah,
be
it's
hired.
Yeah,
geographically,
you
yeah.
want them,
Okay.
they're close, they're gonna drive in, they're not,
Yeah,
people aren't gonna travel 40 miles to work at
right, Dunkin' Donuts, right, exactly.
And if they're a manager, they will.
I just have one quick question,
Yeah, go ahead,
hopefully
Bill.
quick. Could you just spend 2 minutes talking about the Water Resource Protection Overlay District and what triggered you to be here for that, and basically give us a general overview on that, because nobody really talked
Yeah, well,
about it.
the zoning, the Water Resource Protection District, shown on the zoning map in itself, is wells up in this area here. I don't know what is there a setback from it? I don't know what generation.
No, you're in the Zone 2 of the wells, as
Yeah.
well as our local Water Resource Protection Overlay
Right,
District. So there's certain thresholds, and I think you're triggering filing because of the percentage of disturbance on the land that you're developing. It's like over 30% or something like that.
To be honest with you, Bill, I forget.
It's probably
why.
been so long,
It's
Russ,
been
I
3.5
know.
years.
But that's kind of why I wanted to, so we talked about all the other things,
Right.
Not have impervious
and maybe we
surface.
deal with it next meeting, Russ, but
Yeah.
I just
Take a
want to
look
make
at
sure
it,
the
yeah.
board's up on what's going on
You know,
with
as I was
that.
talking about that, I could talk about the stormwater a little bit, I haven't touched on that. I mean, I'm in my 40th year at this business, and this is the most unbelievable site I've ever come across. It's dead flat, the soil is a medium coarse sand, has a infiltration rate like you wouldn't believe. We did test pits out there, so what we've got designed is we got catch basins and pipe inlets, and they go through a stormwater. So there's two systems, there's a divide through here, this drains this way, this drains this way. We're gonna carve out some basins on each side, and they're, that's 5 feet deep through there, and it's like a 4-in-1 slope, So, and what's gonna happen is, so it's gonna flow through a water quality unit. It's a hydrodynamic separator for
Yep.
water quality. It's gonna come out and it's gonna run into these basins, and it's not gonna leave. This'll take the 100-year storm, and no water leaves the site.
So you won't be tying into any of the Douglas's?
No.
Okay.
So it's stormwater, and the water, we're gonna, proposing to connect to the water off of Rydell Street, and the electric off of Rydell Street. The septic system's on the front here. One grease trap for the food service area. The rest of the site is, it's office and retail, I don't know what it makes it, it's in the regs. We're gonna have to go to Concom, because we're in the setback. This is a 100-foot bordering vegetative wetland setback. The wetlands is over here, we're in the setback. And this is
Geez, we
the,
can't just post that
We're in the front setback, so we're in the setbacks.
You have shown on this plan the 10-foot, or no, not yet.
The which?
With the widening of the road on that side.
Yeah, it's right here.
What's going on with the stormwater with the widening, Russ?
Well, I haven't really gone through a full design on that yet. I mean, the grade, we're just gonna basically run the shoulder on it. They're gonna keep the same cross slope of the road, and, it's so flat over there, we don't anticipate any issues with the grading. I'll have to look into, Bill and I can look, there's a high point, I believe, here, okay, and this flows this way, this flows this way, so,
The additional paved area is not shown on here.
it's right here. This is the existing edge of pavement,
Okay, I see that.
okay?
So it's like 0 on that end?
What?
C2 on this side. Edge of
It
pavement.
starts here,
Yeah.
right at, just before the intersection.
Okay, it's a little skinny, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
So it's nothing, and then the widest point is gonna be 10 feet? Okay.
the whole thing shows up on the overall here.
Right there.
We start back here,
Okay.
Rydell.
it's right here, okay? And then it tapers back to existing over here.
Okay.
At the corner of Rydell and Route 16, there's a drop inlet right there.
Oh, right here, yeah.
So, but you don't anticipate anything extra going
No,
into that?
we're not, actually, so we have an overflow, even though we know it's
Yeah.
never gonna happen.
Yep, yeah, your
It'll
pond
overflow
would be
into
right there
the
next to
traffic.
that. Right, yeah, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
You want anything from the public?
Yeah. Anybody else on the board have any other questions right now?
I'm good.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience have any comments or questions? Seeing none? All right. Anything else you want to present tonight before we continue?
Do you wanna run over the punch
I
list?
just want to run over the
Yeah.
punch list.
Okay.
So, right now, I know the goal is to move the pole. Right now, we'll come back with a plan, either showing an island, but making it clear to a stranger to the site, this is the way you're gonna turn right, this is the way you're gonna turn left.
Okay.
We'll come forward with that. And, are you gonna inquire?
So
of the
hold on a
utility?
second.
Right.
That was not what we discussed.
We discussed getting a
Ernie
hold
keeps
of.
saying an island or a directional, but I keep saying, yes,
the
we'd like
pole.
to petition. Somebody's gonna call National Grid,
Yeah, we'll
get the
work with you on
pole
that, yeah.
relocated.
Well,
and an
well, that's
additional
gonna
pole.
come after,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
I wanna be clear about that. I'm not gonna call National Grid
Okay.
and have this be a priority if the project's not going forward.
Right.
Okay?
So
So,
before we get to that stage, do you want us to just come in and try to improve the confusion? Which way do I go around this pole?
No.
I think it's, from my perspective, and I would recommend to the board, that pole is gone,
Gone.
and we have either one or two poles to replace it on either side of the road.
Right, and I think the applicant can call National Grid to get it relocated. I
Well,
don't see
well,
why
no,
you
no,
would
no.
need to call them.
They're not gonna work.
No.
No.
They don't respond to
It becomes a priority
Right.
if the town safety
They'll
committee
call.
determines
Okay.
it a
Right.
safety issue.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
So with the additional flow, I would think this would become a safety
Yes,
issue.
I
So,
agree.
and our traffic consultant's gonna tell us the flow difference.
Right.
So I think it's pretty clear, at least from my recommendation to the board, that the pole is gone. We're gonna look at an improved interchange
Yes.
with possibly 3 lanes, based on what you come up with.
And the pole might be pole on each side or whatever, but to remove it out of the very center. of
We
the-
may not even show the poles. We can show the absence of the poles. Just show it gone, show the reconfigured intersection, and then we let the grid figure out,
They design it. with
where
their
they're gonna
design
put the
engineer.
pole.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does that make sense?
Right,
So
but
we'll
so
reconfigure the
I know
intersection
what you're saying.
and let the grid put the pole where,
They're gonna put it where they wanna put it.
But it's on your punch list, make sure
Yeah.
it's clear
That's
that
accurate.
that's what we're
That's
trying to do.
Okay, 3-lane, show the interchange.
And the pole out.
Okay.
Or whatever your traffic consultant.
Relocate the dumpster.
Yeah, that whole area, I think.
Truck turn
For
area.
safety, because of the way you're showing your cars coming around,
Yep,
and you're showing where that is, you're only one car width from where you're putting the dumpster.
right.
He shows up, car's there, he backs into somebody walking or whatever. I don't think it's a good,
Okay, and then the new and improved traffic study that responded to the comments of the
I'll
ZBA
make sure the board.
with an
gets it.
executive summary and an electronic copy for all board members. New data on intersection site distances. Either should revise the plan to accommodate trucks. How many trucks can we accommodate?
Well, it's not, it's a trailer, like either
Trailers.
tractor trailers or landscape with trailers. Yeah.
I think we
Or
need to
not.
rely on their
They can do
professional
whatever they
to,
want,
that's
yeah.
right.
Right, it's
That's
either-
right.
either-
We'll review
We'll,
that issue.
we'll
Correct.
review whether or not we can get that on site.
But if you
we
don't, you
can't,
don't. Then that's-
Signage prohibiting it.
Correct, right.
And then come back with the information as to why we're triggering watershed
Watershed.
overlay.
Just a little discussion so we know what's going on with regard to
One more
water.
question.
Yeah, review the bylaw, because
There's nuances in that bylaw.
services,
you know,
and how much you can.
Take a look at it, because there's a lot of peculiar things in there that are like, you might trigger some, you know?
Okay.
Do you know what kind of lighting you're using? Are you using solar powered, or are you proposing anything, you know, eco-friendly?
LED,
Okay,
LED,
light poles?
Proposing
I
any
know some
rooftop
of the-
units, any solar array?
Is it solar?
probably not.
I mean, I know some of the banks are switching out every single one of their poles to be solar powered. So that's kind of like the direction it's moving. I'd like to kind of see us be a little more
So we don't have to maintain.
eco-friendly. Well, they're not gonna.
Well, it's on
they're
their
gonna
property
maintain
anyway,
it,
not
but-
street lamps.
at least LED and everything.
We can certainly ask the proponent if that's something that
Typically,
they and Dunkin'
typically it was
Donuts is.
LED full cutoff lights.
I'm surprised they're not doing like solar panels too.
That's what I was
I'm
just
not-
saying.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
Oh, here's something for you guys to think about. We have a sign bylaw that the board has the authority to issue a permit for, otherwise you'd have to go to the selectmen. So I would need you to show on the plans any signage
Oh, good point.
and details for the signage.
Our subcommittee.
Yeah, thank you.
That way there, it's all
Right.
done, it's all done at once.
That would be great.
Some
So-
places we don't put in the signs because that's a whole different, it's a total other application.
Oh, no, we're friendly on that. We're friendly.
It's in-house.
So Bill's gonna be calling, yeah.
Can you give me
Oh, no,
guidance
I'm
on the
not gonna
signs?
call.
Are
There's
they
a
backlit
bylaw.
signs? Oh, there's bylaws.
Yeah.
Do you allow backlit signs, or is it,
It's a general bylaw. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
you do, okay.
But you need a permit.
What's your pleasure for the next meeting?
August 14th at 7. How long do you want?
Oh, not even here. Jesus.
We'll give us a little
An
time.
hour?
Yeah, at least.
I make a motion to, at 7:30? 7:30?
7.
Oh, okay. Make a motion to continue the public hearing for New England Realty Ventures to August 14th at 7:30.
7.
7.
7,
Seven.
sorry.
Okay, motion made by Tracy,
Second.
second by Mike G. Any other discussion?
They're coming from
My
Connecticut.
hearing,
All those in
I think,
favor?
is,
All those in favor?
Aye. My hearing's going, it's gonna cause.
Good luck.
Hey, thank you very much for coming in. See you next time.
Tell me your last name again.
Currency.
Talking Albanian?
Yeah.
I don't think the AC's working.
No, I know. I was sweating earlier.
It must be you, you're radiating.
Man, I'm used to this.
Thank you.
I wonder if that's
Yeah,
turned
thank
off
you.
potentially by the town. It didn't used to be. They used to do the running crew meetings.
I'm gonna have one damn can next time. On it right
Yeah,
there.
Emmett used to open it. Do you remember?
But it's hotter outside.
Yeah, I know,
isn't it?
I'm not doing it.
Right.
I mean, it is, I don't know what they're on there, but it is getting late enough that maybe the town brings it out.
Should we
I
crack
hear
open a
something
window?
coming.
It's a thing, I know, I'm dying, I was dying in here earlier. This ain't good.
My glasses back
I'll
on.
start bringing my own fan.
It was all the body.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's cranking.
I see that moving.
The architect
okay.
designed it.
I'm not used to being stuck in the room.
No?
Right? We're outside, we can move around, do things.
Not all snuffy.
No.
So the attorneys are.
Which one? Oh, this guy here?
Yeah, I knew the name. It's a telltale.
Next item on our agenda,
Estate.
public hearing, Estate of Harry Bedoyan and Fine Sand and Stone Company, Inc., of Bow Street. In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, and the Town of Douglas Earth Removal Zoning Bylaw, Section 6.1, the Douglas Planning Board to hold a public hearing on the application of the estate of Harry Bedoyan, 100 Lackey Dam Road, Uxbridge, Mass., and Pine Sand and Stone Company, Inc., 1 Lackey Dam Road, Douglas, Mass., for an earth removal special permit for property located on Gilboa Street, Douglas, Mass., Census Map 115, parcels 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8, as shown on a plan entitled Earth Removal Plan of Land, dated June 19, 2018, by Garrier and Henlon, Inc., 1029 Providence Road, Whitensville, Mass., consisting of 11.79 acres. Public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 10th, 2018, at 7:45 PM in the Municipal Center Community Meeting Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. A copy of the submittal is available for viewing in the Community Development Department during regular business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the matter should appear at the time and place designated. Ernest Marks, Chairman, Douglas Planning Board. Public hearing is now open. Do you have somebody?
Good evening, Jim Pine from Pine Sand and Stone.
Jim?
In the fall of 2016, this board granted what was a 6-acre permit for a hill called Gilboa Mountain, owned by Pine Sand and predominantly by Bedoyan Sand and Gravel. We're in here tonight to basically show you the rest of the hill and hopefully get a permit to finish that. That hill, as you know, was over 100 feet high, and it's been a challenge to find the right and safest way to operate it without doing it in slices. So we've given that a lot of thought and a lot of time. Ron Tubman is here from Guerrier and Hellman from the engineering side. I think Norman has finally decided to hang it up, so you won't see Norman anymore. But so why don't I turn it over to Ron and any questions and details after that?
Good evening. As Jim said, my name is Ron Tubman. I'm a registered land surveyor. Working for Guerrier and Hellman. In this, representing the applicants in this filing for the earth removal permit. Would you prefer that you want me to put something up? I know you all have the...
Do you have a board? Or
I didn't bring a board, to tell you the truth. I'm sure I can get
You
it.
can use the, what about that whiteboard behind that? Take it to that.
Yeah, if I can grab one of those,
Ron?
Here you go.
yeah,
Thank you. Pick them all.
This has all been discussed in the past.
Has it?
Do you need more here?
Here's the entrance.
How come yours looks different than mine?
They don't. That's the entrance.
Why is
That's
yours
built.
so dark? You ran out of ink on yours?
Yeah, toner.
Ooh, you know what happened? Hey,
You asked too many
is that
questions.
an original?
Me?
It is. That's what they gave us.
No.
There you go.
Big one, no. Oh, no?
Oh, we got two
I have my
different
glasses.
ones.
Um,
Okay, I think this is an old one, actually.
Yeah, they did make a revised submittal,
What's
which
the
I
date?
put the new plan in your packet.
What's the date on that one?
7/10/18.
Yeah, 7.
yeah, you should have one from today, and,
Oh, these are old. June 19th.
yeah, that was the original submission.
So you
There
want
should have been a new one, there's a new one in your packet.
Packet, right
Yeah.
here.
I like the old one.
Just look up there.
Okay.
There should be a new one in your packet.
Find a date anywhere, but there's-
Take it away, Ron.
Okay, so in a nutshell, as Jim said, they've been working under the permit from 2016. On the plan, and I have to apologize, Bill had asked me to show the line, and that was the one thing that I forgot to add to the plan. But the line of phase 1 basically follows what I would say is the 345, or this line that runs right through where it says phase 2. You can see that as the grade goes up. So this area here is where it's been taken down to the bottom, and some of the hill has been taken down up to almost the peak here. So what we're applying to do now is to take the remainder of the hill down within the parameters that are specified in the bylaw. We did meet with Bill last week, Norm and Jim and Andy and I, which is the reason that you have a revised plan today. There was a few things that Bill had requested be added to the plan, which we've done. And basically, it's just a continuation of the same operation. They're gonna come at it from this side, and as they're taking the material out from this side, the runoff obviously will continue to go in this direction and be handled on-site until they get almost down to the street. And if you look at the point at the street there, we have an area where this last portion that won't run back, the water will have an area to sit and infiltrate. So we don't have to worry about it going out into the street. So everything will be held on site, be taken care of as it has been up to this point. One of the concerns, obviously, that the board has and in the regulations is the separation between the bottom of the excavation and groundwater. And Bill had asked that we put some contours on the plan showing the groundwater elevations based on the testing that had been done previously. And you can see those are the contours with the 3 dots and the dash. So if you look at the proposed contours along the edge, or actually across the entire site, and you can see the difference between the groundwater and the where the area will be taken down to. There's no area where we will be within 10 feet, which is the regulation, and I believe the idea is to monitor that as we go to make sure that we aren't getting closer to 10 feet. And I think that's basically it in a nutshell. Is there anything else, Jim?
How big is that proposed excavation site? How many acres is that?
11.
It's 11.8.
This is kind of like a high buffer all the way around, so this whole operation takes place inside a, if you will, a closed canyon.
Yeah,
At the street, there's a little strip of land that's actually Uxbridge, and we've talked to them, but that's a couple of years away. So the idea was to show you the main project, the whole thing, how it's going to operate, and be back in a couple of years, and also to find out what we need to do with Uxbridge, because as Ron said, you know, the water, nothing can leave here because some of these things are still 20, 30 feet high and still treed and so forth. Bill had actually asked me after we got the original permit, why didn't you bring this in the first place? And we're not perfect, so, but this is the total operation. And kind of an idea of what it's going to look like when it's done. And as you know, that designed road runs right up through here, which is...
I was gonna say, you making it, to get it all down to all that? Good.
Yeah, the finished grades to follow the
road
the
design of
approved road
all that, that
design.
was, awesome.
The white area, has that already excavated?
Yep.
Yep.
That's all.
And that was phase something or something?
Phase one.
Yeah,
That was the permit
phase one,
from
which-
2016.
Which ends some right in this area.
Bill, any questions, concerns?
Well, this came in yesterday. I did promise Jim that I would do my best to do a thorough review as quickly as possible. I haven't had a chance to really review this plan in detail. Generally, it looks good. I did make the comment, as Jim indicated, not only on the first submittal, but on this submittal. As you know, this is the area of the 4 towns, and we have an approved industrial subdivision road that comes in opposite, Ron, if you wouldn't mind pointing out, opposite Old Lackey Dam Road. Now, there will be grade changes as a result of this proposed roadway. So in other words, they will need to excavate the hillside even beyond what they're showing on this plan. And I think this goes for any project, not just this submittal, but I don't understand piecemealing this thing one chunk at a time. My preference would be to get the master plan all said and done, designed, permitted, so you see the end game, you know what you're permitting as a board, and then they phase it in 10-acre increments as what is allowable under the bylaw. So, for example, they would excavate the first 10 acres, start the second, restore that first 10, and have a rolling situation. And they wouldn't have a need to come back to the board periodically, like they're doing every couple of years. So to me, it makes sense that they approach these things like that. And I think it's good for the board to see what the end result's gonna be. So, that being said, I mean, I don't know if there's room to show the full plan for this area. And I don't see the downside to doing that.
I mean, if the drawings and everything was south of the industrial at some point in time, who knows? We might not even be here. But they still will have to take more dirt out of that mountain, won't they, Jim? On that side.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to show it now where you just taking it all, or you prefer not? to?
Well, my thinking, in fact, it goes back 20 years in my case, that we had the original hills on the DeVries property.
Yeah.
It was 121 feet above the garage floor, as I recall. We just picked a number arbitrarily of 70 feet that we're
Yeah.
going to take off that hill vertically. The idea being that that's going to make a large, basically flat area.
Yeah,
Then it's an engineering challenge to design, the finish grades to
Right.
deal with surface drainage and all
yeah,
that. This hill was calculated at 1.1 million yards of material.
yeah.
We want to take the bulk of it down,
And then worry about
and
the
that's
small
a few
stuff
years'
later.
work.
Yeah,
And then somebody will design, along with the road, the actual grades that would facilitate whatever's going to be built there.
that didn't have that, did
Has
it?
the road been designed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And approved.
Okay, so it's not overlaid on this,
Why can
so
it
we
not
don't
be
really,
reflected, you're saying?
Yeah.
Reflected on this.
if the road has already been designed. And I have a question on what this is gonna look like. So you have your finished grades as a solids, right?
Mhm.
So you're gonna leave, what's this hill gonna look like on the side here? This little V thing.
As Jim said, this is kind of like a triangular bowl.
Yeah,
These are coming down at 2 to 1. And basically it's gonna slope, I'm sorry, it's sloping this way.
and I guess I'd like to see, okay, so where is that road designed? And you're obviously not gonna restore that area, right? If there's a road that's going through
Well,
there?
The designed road is here, okay?
Going right across here.
Okay.
going through.
Oh.
In the unexcavated portion,
Yeah.
kind of straddling the peak of that
Okay,
new
Across
side
more
slope.
like that
okay.
is what's gonna-
So you just are comfortable with that limit? You're saying it's kind of like a little cocoon and you can
Yeah,
be
I'm
safe
saying
in
that
that triangle?
to facilitate this operation for
Uh-huh.
dust and noise
Yeah.
and runoff
Yeah.
and so forth. This road goes uphill from here this way, the proposed road. okay?
Yeah.
So obviously the land beside it is gonna slope this way. Now, this is the driveway into Pine's office, which is down here, which is several feet lower than the finished grade up here. All I'm saying that is, when the bulk of the gravel is gone, somebody will be in with a plan for development,
Okay,
okay?
yeah,
And maybe a lot of these grades will change, but that's not something we're trying to accomplish today.
okay.
You're just trying to get the rough
The
down.
hill has to go away.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
Okay.
gonna be a couple of years just to do that, at least.
Do they need,
It-
you're within
see-
100 feet from the road, right, for excavation? So you need
We're more
the
than
town-
100 feet.
Oh, you're more
Yes.
than 100 feet?
Yeah,
With the excavation?
Huh?
I think we are.
No,
No.
we are within 100 feet right now, in the point.
Correct, Tracy.
Okay.
Where's that town line, though? I thought that was what kicked us back.
There's the town line.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yes, we are within 100 feet.
Okay. Just trying to get a handle on it.
I think you guys were gonna submit some revised waiver requests.
From June 18th?
The only one that comes to mind was that we're over 10 acres when you combine the two permits.
There were a couple.
So that's
There were more
not
that
on
weren't
here.
submitted.
Yes. The only list that we have is when we first sat down, and I thought when we met, I went through and,
There was an additional.
The 4, yeah.
I apologize. I will, I can certainly get that to you tomorrow.
This road,
No, I want to be clear about this.
this
I
is the
mean,
road they always used to
from
call.
my perspective, they
Western
can build
Connector
it.
Road, they were
this
calling
way.
it, or the
Yeah,
West
and that's
End
gonna be-
Connector or something.
We know
That's
it's
gonna
a
be
cut
opposite
for
the old
additional
Wacky Dam Road
roadway.
that goes around behind the Shell station.
I don't
So
understand
this will
not
be, of course, on an
permission
intersection,
at
I'm
this stage.
assuming someday.
Well, it's everybody's prerogative.
It certainly
There's
is.
multiple
Still
people
planned that that
involved.
road
It
go
certainly
up,
is.
So that's probably one of the
And that's why I'm
problems.
raising it.
Sutton,
The other street,
Whitensville, Whitens Road up there in the Sutton, or where?
there's some issues on the Sutton end as to whether that's ever gonna go through or not.
Do we have somewhat handy for the next meeting, the master approved roadway, at least for this section?
Sure, I can get it now.
No, that's okay. That's okay, because we can't close this out tonight. I have no problem with the, waivers, the 4 that were presented on June 18th. So I don't know if you wanna talk about those, or
I'd have to go get my list. I really haven't had a
the
chance to.
4? This list, the 18th?
Oh, those are all valid
Yeah.
requests.
Yeah.
There's a couple of additional
Okay.
waivers that I have to go.
Oh, as far as,
You
I'm
know, and
looking
I
at
probably
this for
want to
the
do them all at the
applicant.
same time.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm good with the ones that are in our packet. So I don't think you need to be prepared to change anything in like the stormwater flow calculations and all that. Shouldn't we talk about the ones that they've requested so far?
That's up to the board.
Everybody's
If one half
sleepy
doesn't
in
know,
here,
it's,
I don't
I mean, you
know.
know, one way or the other, you know.
Well, if the
it's-
applicant needs to do stormwater calculations, he should probably know for the next meeting,
Let's
if we're
find
not
out
gonna
what the
grant
4 are.
this.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I
you're gonna
agree.
say what the 4
Okay.
are, the waiver.
All right, that's all I'm saying.
That's
Okay.
quicker.
I'd
Just be
probably
done
have
with it,
them do it.
the 4 that we got.
They'll come back with it.
I think we always talk that way. We always say, hey,
Yep.
trees, no trees.
Don't worry, there's no two.
Curbs, no curbs.
Yeah, one sidewalk, no sidewalks. 2 sidewalks. All right.
One quick thing, Jim, where's the property line? Way up on the other end?
There's a lot.
Property line,
That's right, because it involves, what, 2 properties, 3
Right here.
properties? Just that one there?
this is the property line, Pine Sand
Yeah,
and Bedoyan.
okay. No problem.
Board, any other questions?
Nothing for me.
Nope. You wanna do that?
Do what? Oh, no, I'm gonna wait for the list.
You're
I'm
gonna
just
wait, okay.
giving them a heads up.
Yeah.
that I Don't need the stormwater.
So there are 4 that they have requested, and then there's 2 more, a couple more that have to be.
Off the top of my head, I'd
It's not
have to go look at my
complete.
notes,
Yeah,
to
it's
be
not a
honest with you.
complete list.
Do you remember, Andy?
Okay, I'm good.
Is one of those the truck entering where we discussed?
One
that?
was the truck entering, the
That's
other
on the
one
list.
was the,
What's on that list?
Yeah.
the restoration materials, because that wasn't on this list. You know, there were a few.
The estimate for the restoration materials is on here. Where the applicant intends to get them.
You know,
That was requested already. Drainage facilities, road signs, and pre and post development stormwater flow calculations. Those were the 4 that were requested.
Does he need a waiver because of the 100 feet?
Yeah.
he does.
So that'd be one
You wanna ask the
waiver request.
audience?
Yeah, anybody, the public hearing, anybody in the audience have any comments or questions? Hearing none? Okay.
Wanna do August 14th at 7:45?
7:45.
We're doing 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock on the, donut.
I'm gonna be on vacation.
Can't be on vacation.
You might be right.
Come back.
Yeah?
All right,
Gonna do it?
you ready?
Yeah.
Are you gonna do it?
Nope, go right ahead.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing for Estate of Harry Bedoin and Pine Sand, Gilboa Street to August 14th at 8 PM.
Second.
Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Mike Z. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Good to go on the
Looks good.
14th?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Thank you,
Since
Jim.
Jim's here, can we take number 4 on the discussion?
Yeah, so,
Full on discussion, or? Yeah, okay, yeah.
I went out, I don't know, 2 weeks ago.
I believe so.
Yeah, looked at the restoration. It looked substantially complete. There were a few erosion rivulets that had occurred. Did you fix those? They have not been fixed. They're minor. There was a condition in the decision that an as-built plan be provided. One has not been provided. The grades generally look close to what was approved by the board. The
Okay.
site's in good shape. It's certainly much better than it was a few months back when they came in with the same request, so.
Okay. Recommend that it's good enough to,
Well, I mean, there's some omissions, that's up to the board to weigh whether or
You
not
need
they're
the- You need
valid.
the as-built, right?
Yeah.
They have not given an as-built.
Right.
There's some minor issues, but I wouldn't call them major by any stretch.
how much is the bond?
But there's good vegetation otherwise.
Okay, how much is the bond, what's the bond?
It was wasn't cash, it was a performance bond. Jim, do you know off the top of your head? It started at 45, but I think you got a reduction maybe?
No, I think it's at 45.
It's at 45?
It was 3 acres.
Released a bond when we receive an as-built?
Yeah.
And satisfaction to your liking of the minor imperfections?
I mean, I don't have a big issue with the minor
Yeah.
erosion, with Andy's promise that he's gonna
Right.
loam
Break
and
it
seed
out.
those.
I mean,
Himself.
the thing is the as-built.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
the
If you
as-built.
promise an
Release it.
as-built,
Yeah, we'll get an as-built.
once we get an as-built,
Yeah.
release the bond.
We should get an
As long as,
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
even have
fine
to-
with
if everything
me.
else is good, you got the vegetation going, the whole nine
Right, right.
yards.
And just,
I mean,
Do you
we've had
have
some
it to
crazy
be
rains
signed
and
in
dry
your
and this and that happens.
No, I
You
don't
touch
have
them up a little bit,
Tonight, I don't.
give them the
So
I
as-built.
we'll say
didn't get
it's
a sign. Wasn't anything in the
45,000.
sign folder, I'll have to look. Yeah, all right, so a motion to
Release,
the bond.
release the surety for permit number ER 160727, pending submittal of an as-built demonstrating compliance with the approved plan.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Mike, by Ken,
Ken.
seconded by Ken. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a good one.
Yep,
Good
thank you
night.
guys.
Yeah. Oh.
All right.
Hey, how you doing?
Public meeting, it's just a
Public meeting.
A&R.
Public meeting, that's
Oh, let me go get the stamps.
all. Okay.
Okay.
see a lot, frontage exception in action.
All right, public meeting. State of Paul J. Kahn, application for a lot frontage exemption. 64 Birch.
Hi, my name is Jeff Herman. I'm applying for a lot frontage exception on 64 Birch. And I have plans for your review.
Just put them
The
down. on-
revised ones from the 6/9?
Yes.
Okay. You wanna roll out one of them? You don't have little copies, right?
No.
Okay.
This is all set.
Well, I haven't seen the revisions.
This is revised. So the file number is down there, the title block has 7 lines. Labeled building setbacks. Did that. Front yard setback should be called for as 200 feet.
Yeah, off the street. He went back, he moved that from the last version.
Yeah.
It was,
Jive with this.
yeah, it was that way, and then they moved it back.
Right, because it's 200.
Quick question. Is this part of the lot here?
No.
That's somebody else's?
Yeah, that was obtained by that, I believe, this lot owner,
Okay.
this piece here.
Okay. But is it separate ownership, or did you just not label that with an owner? Oh, I see it. Never mind.
Okay.
Very light.
A little,
Super light.
a little tick.
So is this the lot?
The whole thing.
This is the lot, but not that.
No,
No.
No,
no.
it's
Yeah,
coming,
not-
coming in here and.
There's no new lines on this plan,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
This is an existing piece of property. They have to come to us for a lot frontage exception signature,
So it's
Right.
legal.
so it's legal.
Like
So
an
can I-
approved lot instead of an existing non-conforming.
Correct.
Okay.
Can I ask you to teach me something about this here? So where that little squiggly is,
This?
between the lots.
Yeah.
So, no, the squiggly is between that lot. It has nothing to do
Is
with
that the
this. I'm
technical
asking you a
term?
question.
Yes.
This?
That's showing that its current ownership is both the same,
Common
right?
ownership.
Yeah.
They could come, and they could come before the board, and I'm just asking for my understanding. They could come, and that line could be erased, and it could be combined through an approval from the board, planning board, right? Could be.
With no
Where's the
date.
squiggly?
With
What are
no
you talking?
date.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, whatever you call it.
They're not here for that.
No, I know, no, I'm asking, teach me what
He
that.
said it was a
In
learning
this town,
experience
in this
for him.
town, they can come and combine that so that that line goes away completely, come before planning
As a
board.
practical matter, that line doesn't exist unless those two owners' names are different.
Yeah.
Correct. But the line could be expelled completely if they come before the board.
Should have just been hashed.
Yeah, I was just asking.
Yeah, it should be dashed, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Bill, any comments?
No, looks like they
I
got,
think everything was
yep.
Yeah,
was
looks good.
revised.
Anybody on the board have any comments or questions?
No.
How far, yeah?
Yeah, how come the real estate agent's not here presenting this?
Mine's here.
You're not the guy I met.
No, Dawn's here.
Oh, okay.
How far are you from, you up the northwest Main Street end of Birch, or are you up at the other end of Birch?
It's almost in the middle.
other end.
It's,
Oh,
right
that
at
is
the
Sutton
top
line.
of the hill.
Yeah,
Which are pretty far up, actually.
up near the Sutton line.
This actually is the Sutton line here.
Sutton line right there, yeah.
And I'll tell you, that line is accurate.
That Sutton line?
Yes,
Not like the one in
I'm
Uxbridge?
not kidding, that line, they put some time into that line.
Okay.
We'll endorse the
Go for it.
He foraged out there.
Make a motion to endorse the A&R plan for 64 Birch Street for the heirs of Paul J., is it called Con?
Con.
Con?
Yep.
It's an A&R, even if it's.
Second?
It's not-
Motion made by Mike Z, seconded by Mike G. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Not me,
Abstained?
Oh.
Hold
I
on,
said
hold on,
an
I
A&R.
was listening.
Yeah. So we're just for lot frontage,
Lot frontage exemption, yeah.
not A&R.
Yeah, not A and R, lot frontage exception, yeah.
My wife says that.
But it's
Okay,
under
do you have a Mylar?
A&R.
But it says it's not an A&R.
Oh, the Mylar's in here.
Maybe you should make a new form,
Can you have how many copies for us? One?
if you want to be
There's a lot frontage
particular.
exception section to the A&R form.
Yeah, it's not an A and R, so
Oh,
it's a lot frontage exemption.
But yeah,
let me
we-
see. Yeah,
All right.
I think you need a new form.
Did you even read that?
Yeah, of course I did. Where does it say that there's a?
No, my review comments.
All right, I need a magic.
I'm looking at this.
I
You
can't
need
even
a
read
new-
that, that's like a
You need a
miniature.
different form then.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to get particular.
Right, you're right, it says A&R.
Yeah, I know.
All of it, yeah.
Can we have a subcommittee that Tracy creates the new form?
Negative. I also have another comment.
Well, it's down here,
About
it says
that,
lot
too.
frontage.
Oh, did we vote? Damn it, say.
Yes,
Yeah, we did.
he called.
We just corrected the A&R.
Yeah.
All right, come sign, guys.
Let's see, come sign.
Yeah, and everything says
How many of
special
these we
permit.
sign?
I'll tell you what.
This is the
special
Mylar.
permit. None of these forms tell you.
Sign after.
Because it's a permit and you're special.
Well, you already knew that.
You
He
can't-
doesn't need a piece of paper to tell
Too
him.
much for this town to handle, that we have
Right, sorry.
something on there telling us what it's about. If you don't look at your numbering scheme, which is the hint,
All right, we'll stamp these at the end of the meeting.
you don't know what the hell is being applied for.
You don't?
No,
Come on.
they're all the same. The form is the same.
That's not true.
It's like the way that the felt lands.
Are we signing something?
Yeah, one more.
The Mylar. Behind you.
Cool out here.
I'm just saying.
You've been hanging around Tracy too long. That's what I'm saying.
He's a fast learner. We spend a lot of time together
Are we signing something?
during the day.
The Mylar behind you.
Just Mondays and Tuesdays. though.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda,
A&R.
public meeting, Cosmo Real Estate
Take that
Trust,
to the
A&R
registry
plan.
and record it. It's 75 bucks,
Maple.
I think. And then you're good to go. Okay, okay, good luck.
Anybody presenting over here?
Good luck.
Yeah, I think we're talking in the doorway.
They got 7?
We have 4 copies, paper copies.
Yeah, I got them
Hey,
right.
Mike, you gonna sign? Or
Already
did
did.
you?
I signed it, yeah.
There's
Everybody
only
signed?
6 of us here tonight or something?
There's only 6.
Yep.
Sorry.
We're missing someone.
Yeah,
signed?
less,
And I made him add a line for less. And he's not here.
That's it?
All right, Cosmo Realty Trust.
Yeah, me
You
either.
did a good job putting these in order. Haven't seen that one before. Awesome.
Aaron's so impressed.
I am very impressed.
I'm not gonna
He could be a secretary
No, don't
and
do
an
that.
engineer.
all at the same time.
Bosman, not Bosman, Bosman.
Some reduced size copies that incorporate Bill's recent comments as well.
Okay.
He's very
And
lucky.
this one's trash.
So good. Brings his own board.
Jeez, you're handing out the compliments left and right tonight, Aaron.
Wait till I walk out of here, but that's gonna. I'll look at that one, you know.
Thank you.
Maple.
Can you slide that over, please, that board?
Yeah,
We
this
have
one?
not seen
Yeah,
this,
because
right?
we're struggling.
We have not seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be an update.
So keep your angles for
Slide it too
everybody
far
else.
over.
All right, that's
Is
cool.
that okay?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, my name is Byron Andrews, Andrews Survey and Engineering. We're representing the Cosmos today. They own a property on Maple Street. The property right now is this area outlined in green. It was 2 lots that were combined by an earlier plan. And what they're seeking to do is to separate this land into 2 parcels. The new property line would be right along here. Both lots would have more than adequate area for the zones.
Right.
This parcel here is, would be later combined in a residential subdivision, which we've discussed with Bill already and we'll be working on in the future.
Which parcel?
This one right here.
Where's the frontage,
Par-
Jeremy?
Yeah, I was gonna
Parcel A and remaining land, it's gonna be a residential compound. I think they did come to the
Yeah,
board.
Okay, so it looks familiar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been to
but,
us once already.
okay, so it doesn't matter about that tip on the Maple Street.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're saying it's not a buildable lot
Yeah.
without further action.
Usually
so.
only, yeah.
Both at 200, so here you go.
Hey, Bill, any comments?
Nope.
Board, questions, comments?
The trustees, do you
Oh,
have the
yes, I
letter?
need signatures, right?
Original signatures of all trustees?
Okay, that's Form C?
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah?
Clean that right up.
Look at
that
the
right
warehouse
up.
in the back. Industrial warehouse. Grow on marijuana.
I'll take that. Thank you.
Also, can you speak to this assessor's office situation as 206 Maple Street, and you've got 202 on the lot? Bill's comment for you. House on the plan is addressed 206, and then you have 202 Maple.
Yeah, 206 really isn't part of this filing for clarity, okay? I know it was part of the original property, but it's just 202 that this applies to.
So.
But there'll be two
need to
numbers.
Change it?
So,
or-
so they did change it here in the title block.
Okay.
Okay, so the,
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
says 202.
It used to say 206.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
Make a motion to endorse the A&R plan
Second.
for 202. This is gonna be 202 Maple Street
Yes.
for the Cosmo Realty Trust.
Motion made by Mike Z, seconded by Mike G. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries. You have a Mylar for us?
I do.
Four copies?
Yep. So my line.
Seem better.
Right there on the 202. Thank you.
Sharpies are coming into play.
Why are you
Down
hitting
that
me
slug.
with the plan?
I wouldn't leave them in that jar.
I know, I saw that, that's why I put them in the box.
Well, they should be upside down like this,
That's
too.
why I just put them.
Yeah, they were the wrong way. Remember the old ink pens that you used to, you had the little ball bearing in
You have to
there?
go. Were you around for that?
Oh, what were they like, the Sharpie ones?
The, what do they call them? Leroy set.
Leroy, yeah.
Paper,
Yeah.
The
paper
ink, you
copies
dip
this
it in
time.
the-
We'll have
the
full
ink
ink
draft
at the end of the
thing?
meeting.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
refill
yeah.
the cartridge.
You have to do the topo on the backside of the Mylar.
Yeah, I remember that, and they had the different size pens.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
the gray one, was
Point
like
whatever,
.08,
yeah.
and, yep,
And you lost more pants and
How
clothing
old do
that
we
way.
sound?
Yeah,
Ink
yeah.
got stuff.
yep. When the Leroy machines arrived, it was like, wow, look at this, we can.
And how
we
about the
can-
Leroy
We can do
lettering?
half the statement, all in one thing.
And the lettering would take forever, stupid
Yeah.
Leroy stencils.
Oh, yeah, the stencil.
But the plans look much better than the ones today.
Oh,
Well, you were looking at them,
Yeah.
when you were doing them, you weren't just playing them out.
go ahead, you're up.
Thanks.
I still hand draw this, see, I'm a dinosaur, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why,
I'm waiting for the next ice age.
my secret is, the reason why I color those in is so that I have to like look at it.
Get the magic pen?
And if there's
Magic
any errors or anything I
Sharpie.
didn't forget to label, like when I go across, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
That makes me look at it.
Yeah, we try to erase it, and then we're into that yellow, remember the yellow eraser, and you
Yeah.
had certain chemical, and ooh,
Yeah, and you'd erase it, and you'd have like this blank spot underneath it.
emulsion comes off.
Thank you. Good old days.
Those are the days. I still use a P1 and P2 plastic emulsion pencil, so it's good. Can tell.
Vacation.
It's not me.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I won't go till probably, winter
right.
time.
All right, next.
All right, discussion.
What do we have?
56 U Street.
You got the form of the signatures you
that.
needed done?
Okay, well,
Bill?
Yeah.
What's
You
up?
got the form of the signatures you needed?
Yes.
All right. Residential subdivision discussion, 56 U Street. Somebody here for that?
Yep.
Yep, coming in right now.
We've been patiently waiting. What's the score of the Red Sox?
I'm not sure.
Looks
Dan
good to
may be
me.
able to make it.
I'll tell you in a second.
What's that?
Looks good to me.
I must have
Right there.
shuffled over it.
Yeah, you're up.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
come on up.
Great.
Just introduce
We've been
yourself for the
waiting
record.
all night for you.
Uh-oh. Good evening, Mark Allen with Allen Engineering Associates. Here representing Dan Heaney for a property out on U Street. Before you are a couple of 11 by 17s of some plans we've been working on over the last 4 to 6 weeks, just for some options. So the first plan that you'll see underneath the cover letter is a conventional layout. This is in a zoning district RA, so there's a 90,000 square foot minimum, as you know, 200 feet of frontage. So we put the new road in this location here, and what that subdivision yields is about 9 residential lots around that cul-de-sac. Unique to the property, two things, is the wetlands stream to the east and the proximity to the rail trail itself. So what we were thinking is taking advantage of your section 7.2, the open space bylaw, and doing those 9 lots in a cluster development and saving all of the perimeter area hatched out with this hatch in the perimeter, keeping the road to a shorter length and doing those 9 lots in basically half the amount of space. So we wanted to come before you on an informal basis just to get a temperature of the board to see if that's something you've done in the past. I haven't been here in probably over 10 years or so. So I just wanted to kind of reintroduce ourselves and see if this is something that you've seen recently or like to see.
We've seen one
forward.
residential compound.
Two.
Two residential compounds, yeah.
Let me ask, the
Sure.
hatched land, does that stay as public land, so people
It
can
would.
walk and ride in your behind your backyard?
Correct.
All the way around the perimeter?
Correct.
I don't know, it seems like this town just, you own it.
So Mark, can you tell the
Sure.
board, what's the particular advantage for you going this route as opposed to a conventional subdivision?
There's not as much as if this were a larger parcel of land. The one benefit is the road does shrink just by a couple of 100 feet. It's not a huge number financially.
So you're not looking for bonus lots, you're not looking...
The only thing I could find in the bylaw in section 7.2 that would pertain to this particular piece would be the recreational bonus. And because we abut the rail trail, we may explore that one additional bonus, but we just haven't worked out all the kinks to see where we could put maybe a park or a trail spur.
What you're looking to do out of this meeting
Yep.
is nail down the base number of units? Is that what your goal is?
Or even, yeah, that, and just to see if this is something that the board likes to see as opposed to conventional lots.
Okay.
But the base should be 9. Single-family homes, correct.
So the base, he's going for 9 instead of,
It's 9 no
14.
matter what.
so it's 1.5. If you do cash, if you do recreation, if you do low to moderate, there's ability to get bonus lots.
Yeah, the way I thought I read it was that there's only up to 20% of the basic number, which would be 1 point.
No, for that section of type of your open space one, but there's, I'm sure Bill knows a little bit better than
Yeah,
me.
Not off the top of my
But
head.
there's a lot.
But the way I view this, okay, he's given us a concept of what he wants to do. And I kind of struggle with just saving a couple of 100 feet on road as being the reason. I'm trying to find out if...
Yeah, you
if
need
there-
to pick up the
Yeah.
residential house lots.
Yes.
That's why we do this. So that-
Yeah.
And so, I'm not trying to commit them to what their build-out number is, but really the purpose of what he's here for is to get us to buy into that 9 conventional units as his starting point.
Right.
And then when he makes his filing, that's when we'll talk about the bonuses and
Right.
what you get credit.
Okay, so for conventional, and what's the limit on the roadway length for conventional?
Conven-
1750.
What's
No,
the max?
that's what he's proposing. I think it's 1,000.
1,000 feet.
Yeah, so you're already asking for a
Anything-
waiver. and
correct.
that You're not fitting the conventional.
Correct.
But even that
approval.
road is, what length do you have on that one?
The other's 13, the other one's
13.50.
13.50.
So it's still over, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Right.
Either way.
Either way would be seeking
Yeah.
that way.
I mean, it's more philosophical, I would think, in regards to this property being held in public domain versus
But
being
they-
given to the lots and ownership of the individuals, so it's just a philosophical thing.
He doesn't have to do the open space.
Oh, I know,
You can do something else to gain your bonus lots,
Right.
right, but,
like
but,
donations,
right,
I was unaware of those.
fire trucks,
Ooh,
ambulances,
Money.
shovel.
a shovel,
what's it? No, not shovel.
backhoes, excavators.
Yeah, plow, I meant to say, not shovel.
cash is just
I don't know,
as good as
maybe it's
money.
gonna be as much as a shovel, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, out in this area, all these lots are all 90,000 plus lots.
I know, but when we're determining our base number, we have to consider that this is actually not just a straightforward meets all the requirements for a conventional subdivision.
Correct.
So we can't just necessarily say it's going to be 9 for your base number.
Right.
True. Correct.
It's
So
gonna
what?
be 9 or less.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yep. And I did note on there that that road length over 1,000 feet would have needed Douglas approval.
Yeah, no matter which way you go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that's,
but you have to understand, again, a conventional subdivision, this exercise is supposed to be no waivers, you know?
Yeah, that's the ability to get your approval
Gotcha.
with
Yeah,
no
but either
waivers.
way, he's gonna need a waiver.
And
In
it's
these
probably
proposals.
right in the
Like the two
bylaw
we
like that.
have, the two we have, Evergreen Estates, that has a loop, okay?
Yep.
And then Whiten's Reservoir is a shorter road,
right.
so,
And neither one of them have been built yet.
correct.
Kidding.
But Evergreen hasn't? The
No.
road's in?
Yeah, but they're kind of stopped.
Okay.
Can I ask, all of the lots under the conventional proposal, they're all 200-foot frontage?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so basically, it's conventional, except they're asking for length on the road.
It's not, because that picks up the additional frontage. If you had 1,000 square foot, if you had 1,000, it would be what?
It'd probably
Five?
be 6.
Or six?
Probably 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Right.
whole point of this
So-
exercise.
So granting that waiver puts them in a bonus
You're not
because,
supposed to grant the waiver under the bylaw. It's not supposed to be based on any waivers, and I'm pretty sure the section of the bylaw references
I believe so.
that
Yeah.
specifically, because of this situation.
well, I don't think there's any benefit to the town just to make open space in this area.
Nothing to
Other
do
than-
with that
No,
part. Conventionally, it's not,
No,
this
but-
is the first base, we're on first base.
Right.
We're talking
All right,
about
Tell me how it
baseball.
works in this town. because it's different.
This is, I mean, over the 1,000 feet is your first waiver.
Right.
And no matter which way they go, they're over 1,000 feet.
Right.
Specifically, the bylaw references you're not supposed to
Right.
obtain waivers when you're establishing your base. Now, if you want your total lots to only be 9, then you could probably have your base be, 7 or 6, and then
Right.
you get bonus lots to gain the 9. You can do up to 9 if your base is 6.
Also design it without the request for
I'm
the
pretty sure
waiver.
the
and
bylaw
whatever
requires
that-
you to do that.
Whatever that number is, 5 or 6,
Right.
then you ask for the bonus based.
You can be
Correct.
half
You can ask for the-
additional.
That is correct.
All right.
So if I'm reading the bylaw correctly, for the recreational facilities, which I think we have a good case for, because it's so close to the rail trail, we would do some sort of recreation.
Are you actually in
No.
contact with it, or? is-
Absolutely, yeah, this whole stretch here is about, 1,500 feet of frontage on the rail trail. So it'd be a great spot to pull off, maybe have a little,
What do the elevations look like? Like, have you
Flat as a
walked
pancake.
over there? It is flat?
oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's a gentle slope, isn't it? It goes
Yeah.
down towards that wet area.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
fades
But
off
along
at this
your
area. But
property.
along our property is
Okay.
it's very flat through here, and then it drops off just. a
This is
little
pretty
bit.
close to, what's the name of that road? Bald Hill Farm Road?
Walnut Hill Road, yeah, yeah. It's before that.
Right.
It would be right up to the railroad tracks.
Right.
It's, where Glen Street is,
Yep.
and you get to the top of the hill, the railroad tracks are right there.
Yep.
It's Dexter Perkins's
Yeah.
old property.
So basically, the allowance for recreation, as I'm reading it, is 1 additional dwelling unit may be added per 2 acres of recreational land, or per 2,500 feet of trail, meaning the approval. Since we have the trail, our thought might be to do the acreage.
So we
Yeah,
need
you're
to
taking credit
start-
for something that's already constructed?
No,
is
no,
that
it's
what
saying
you're
no,
not
saying?
use that. Go with the acreage
No,
of
we
open
would go with
space.
the open space acreage to give as a recreational use abutting the trail.
And how many acres of open space recreation is on the other proposal?
We have, I think it's about 13.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts owns that trail, not,
Yeah, no,
Not
they
the
wouldn't
real-
get a
not
credit
the-
for 2,500 or whatever the number is feet of trail.
So we'd be providing 14 acres of open space. So 1 unit per every 2, I mean, technically, we could get
You
7
can only
additional
get
units.
20%.
Right.
That's, so before that, we're just determining your base
Base
number
at
at this
1,000 feet.
moment.
Right.
So that has nothing to do, that's your bonusing.
Correct.
That's your bonus lots.
Correct.
Above and beyond your base.
Correct.
So
So
only
let's go back to
20%.
6, so 20% is only 1.2.
Right, so 1.
Right.
But there's
This
other,
is 14
there's
lots at one
almost,
point. I didn't know it was
there's
14.
there's other opportunities.
Ah.
The cash donation.
Ah.
So if you continue to read,
Yeah.
there's cash,
Yeah.
there's the low to moderate, I don't know if
Right,
they use
affordable
those words.
housing.
Affordable housing
Yep.
units. And then there's, what else? Open space.
Right.
There's
trails.
One other thing.
Can they use all of those?
He's got the, yes, in combination, but you can only do the 20% additional
As
for
you
the
keep
one
going,
section
from
that
the
you just,
baseline.
right.
Now, what is the catch? You said it a few times. What
You
does
need
that
to
mean?
donate
where-
what we determine
Do we-
as a
Could be a variety of
value of
things.
a lot, pretty much.
Oh, here
Of
we
what
go.
we think undeveloped, you know, with, you need to subtract the
What we don't
infrastructure.
have is that 1,000 foot.
So the beginning of the section where it is determining the base number of lots, what does it say about the conventional subdivision?
Yeah, it has to be a waiverless plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
1,000
So,
less.
that's 1,000 feet or less.
Which I'm not opposed, if your total goal is 9, I'm sure we can make it to
Right.
9.
Right. Yeah.
So you got 6 and then you need 3 bonus.
Right.
However you get there, you got the 1 for the trail, you got the 1 for the open space, and maybe you get the 1 by doing an affordable or cash
Right.
equivalent donation to the town.
Absolutely.
But I think it's bad precedent that we set, that
Yeah.
we're already working with something
with
that's
the waiver.
not correct.
Waiver price.
Right. Yeah, we don't,
How do we get to 6?
Because of the length of the roadway, needs to be
Right.
1,000.
Right.
So these drawings essentially
They've
show
assumed-
9 lots.
I mean,
They're useless.
Even, I mean,
The conventional.
if
They're
you
not-
wanted 9, then we can get to 9, I think
Right.
it's fine. If you wanted 14, then I think you might have a
Yeah.
little,
No, I'm not arguing the number, I'm just saying, how do we
because,
no
establish?
way you're gonna get 14.
No.
so.
Yeah, no, let me come back, or to the drawing board, I don't know how you guys want to do it, but I will do the 1,000-foot cul-de-sac, show you the number of lots, and then I'll talk with Dan and see which avenues of density bonus he wants to pursue.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Great, yeah.
So the 1,000 feet is to the end of the cul-de-sac. Is that how it works?
yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yes.
Right. That's how the first plan,
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yep, sounds
Great,
good.
guys. So
Thank
do you want me
you.
to come back, or we can just do it through Bill, or how do you want to?
Yeah,
I mean,
you gotta
proceed.
come back.
Well, go
I
through
mean,
Bill.
this
first
is an
before.
informal process.
Right.
I mean, we
Right.
can certainly nail that down, but I mean, it's common sense that for 1,000-foot road, you're gonna get 6 lots, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's fair to say you got 6 lots.
Right.
And then you can build, and then you can build
Maybe
back.
not with the
The
wetlands
cul-de-sac
here and
is
stuff.
what? The
You
cul-de-sac
could get it to
is
work.
Diameter?
You'll be
Yeah.
close, okay.
120.
Circumference. It's 120?
No, diameter's 120, circumference is probably 2 pi r, whatever that's.
In any
called.
event,
IR, no. Okay,
2.1416.
yeah, so if you tell Bill, I guess, to relay to us that it's 6 or 7.
And I'll supply another plan, by all
Yeah.
means.
Okay,
And then we can see what the bonus is. are.
Yeah.
Well, now where you know where you have to be,
Exactly.
once you come to that point, then Bill
Right.
says, now represent,
Right.
now come in front of us.
And then there's criteria in your bylaw that says if you're gonna go a flexible development, you need to do a preliminary plan, you need, and then come
Right,
back.
and then have your preliminary, then
Right.
show your other
Right.
means and avenues.
Yep.
So we'd like to do this, this, and this.
Yep.
Now, this is the final.
Perfect.
You know, I think a piece, I know.
but we
I like
love
that.
it.
Oh, good. Some towns do, some towns don't like the open space, but I think this,
Yeah.
you know, is a good use for it.
Yeah,
And right, you may not have to give away all the open space on the linear, just that big triangle would
Right.
be enough.
Right.
along
And
the
that's
trail.
along the trail.
Right.
And not have people going all the way around the back
Right.
of people's yards.
Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of,
It's kind of weird.
Wait, no people in your backyard?
No.
fly drones. You gotta fly your drone somewhere.
No, not as
You gotta-
I moved out here because of
You gotta make sure you know that when you're buying that house, that's it.
Oh, my
You have people wandering
Thanks,
around.
See you later.
yeah, thank you.
They put up a
Appreciate it.
tent and they sleep there that night. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
is it light?
If I wanna, I can camp out up here for the night if I want to in that guy's backyard.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
right.
exactly, you can, I mean,
Yeah.
That's just a feeling.
they have to know that when they buy that piece of property, that's gonna be
Woods.
made known to them. That you'll have people going through your backyard.
Call and,
Not on your property, but adjacent to your
Yeah.
property, you know?
Yeah. I don't know how likely that would happen, but
Yeah, exactly.
on
That
New
one all
Street
set?
in Douglas,
But
but
it's
it's
open
available.
space for anybody to
Yeah.
use.
The North
Yeah.
Woods.
This is
Vote
the
to
last time.
release.
Refund $1,653.88 plus any accrued interest.
Wait,
Hold on,
what?
hold- yeah, this is the
1,000?
$1,653.88.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you-
Okay, not what January 18th said,
And interest, yeah.
plus any interest accrued. Accrued.
Yep.
No, that's wrong.
No, it's not 1648 something, it was 16 what?
It used to be, but
It used to be
we
48.
collected some interest.
I know.
So
What
if
was
it's
the
the
number?
pleasure of the board, I would like to make a motion to return the balance of $1,653.88, including interest to date for Northwoods definitive subdivision,
53G account.
53G account.
Second that.
Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Mike Z. Any further discussion?
Yes, Ernie.
Yes.
We'll have you sign that because the voucher's not yet prepared.
Yep, okay. All right?
Yeah,
Everybody good with that?
that's fine, yep.
All right?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
What's this iPad thing?
Moving right along.
Tell us.
I know.
We like it.
Yeah, we already did 4 of them.
I did one, yep.
We
Okay.
did 3 and 4, right?
Yeah, we did 3 and 4.
And we're not doing 6 and 7, right?
Yep.
No,
Skip.
What's 5?
not tonight.
Okay, as you can see from each of your packets, we generate a tremendous amount of paper. So, as you may have noticed, when I emailed you the agendas, they had links that you could click on. I don't know if you looked, Mike.
I didn't know all the links, but I saw
And
when I came to you.
And basically, I've talked to the administrator, and he agrees that it makes sense not only for the time spent copying all of your packets and assembling your packets for every meeting, and maybe even eventually for multiple boards, not just this board, it might make sense to have iPads instead of paper copies,
Yeah.
or Chromebooks, or whatever the board's preference is, so that people could, look at this in the similar manner to the agenda I sent out. I brought mine in from home. This is not the time.
Nice
so,
clarifying.
so basically, you'd see the agenda. You would
Tap
click
on it.
on whatever particular item there was, and then there'll be a list of resources. And this is going to be a running list of past, like if a project takes a year,
Yeah.
all the submittals will be at this link for the past year. So if you want to go back and look at something.
So when you touch on the agenda, it takes you right to that one without fumbling through all the papers.
Correct. And then, so I'll show you, for example, a plan.
Same thing, only it's not hard copy. I mean, you still gotta wade through the same stuff.
No, but it takes you right to that instead of trying to find if it isn't in order, then you're looking for it. and
Can
it's
you have
right there.
multiple windows at
and
one
then-
time?
You could. These are tabbed
Okay, good.
across the top. So, for example, you would scroll through a set of drawings like this.
Nice.
If you wanted to zoom in and look at something, you would zoom
Could do
in.
it. That's what.
And then you'd be able to read it. And really, the savings isn't so much the paper, it's more the staff time that's spent assembling the packets. It's significant, particularly like when you get this kind of thing going on for tonight. So, you don't have to make a decision or take direction. The only thing I would suggest is if you're interested, I'll do a little more research about costs and stuff like that, and then we could take it to the next step.
Yeah,
Are you leading up to us all getting one of those?
Not to
well,
take
yeah.
home, they would be
It
kept
would
at
be
the
here,
town.
and they would bring it out.
We would bring it out for the meeting, you'd
Yeah.
have one each, and then,
So instead of coming up like Monday and picking up my packets,
You can't.
I would email it out,
so
like I do,
Yeah, and we'd have everything to look at before we got here, then we just could scroll through on that.
and then when you come in, you scroll through this,
Okay.
like this.
No, I don't have email, I don't have any of that yet, so I'm gonna have to get all that.
And the thing is, like a lot of times, I'll write down notes.
You
Sometimes.
could still write down notes.
Yeah, you just have to look at it at home and write down those.
People won't have that at home.
But you'll
No,
have
but
to,
you
you'll
can
have to
have
bring a
a-
pad, you'll have to
You
bring a
can have
pad
one
and
piece of
paper.
paper or whatever, just
Yeah.
take some notes.
I do this on my laptop.
You can bring your laptop.
But no, I'm not gonna do that. But the approach is fine, but yeah, we'd all have to have these. Or we'd have to have enough for people to look at.
No, but there would be enough accommodated, he'd bring them here to the meeting, and we would just get our.
And maybe you determine, hey, we can come a day or two in advance of the meeting, take it, view things at home, then you're more comfortable with it. That's up, that's to be determined.
If you had your own, you could download all that onto your own iPad.
Right.
Well, it's wireless, it's Wi-Fi, it's operating on.
Right, so when he sends it to us in an email, we could just use that by bringing our own device in.
But
But-
you look at emails and stuff during the day, some of us don't. I don't see nothing during the
Yeah, me
day,
either.
I
No,
see
no,
nothing at night.
But it's good to have it.
Right,
I
that's
don't
what I'm
ever
saying.
looked at an email.
Right, so I mean, you gotta look at it on both sides too. I don't go around looking at emails, I might not look at emails
No, that
for
has nothing to do with
a
it.
month.
What I'm saying
So
is
it's
is
one of
that,
those gigs
well,
where.
But it's also easier to make 2 sets of copies than 7.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Exactly, yeah.
You know, so if somebody says, no, I'm not doing it, are you, do you appreciate the concept of doing it?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Very much so.
No,
Yeah, think it's a great idea.
I think it's time to
I'm
turn it.
just not computer savvy, and I'll have to become computer savvy, that's all.
well, it's not even, even on a phone. I can get all of that just
I
on a
have a
phone.
flip phone.
I know, I'm just
I-
saying. I know.
But the big advantage,
I'm
like
not-
I said,
I'm
is
not-
you
I'm
can
not
go
in-
back.
I'm not saying you
I'm
should.
not out there on the computer, I'm not, just not there.
So, that's why like Maria will call me, because I don't have a phone on me at work. It doesn't happen, all right? Like you,
Yeah.
they get a hold of you through the office and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, you-
I don't walk around with a phone and things.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
sometimes it's
But
great, I
It's a
understand.
great concept, yes, and, yeah, I mean,
You want me to look at pricing and,
Yeah, I mean,
or
if
no?
it's-
I mean, if you're not interested, I'm fine with
yeah,
that
I
too.
mean,
I just
how would
want-
it be paid for? Would it come out of planning board budget?
We'll worry
or-
about that later,
Okay.
okay? We'll talk to the administrator, and maybe if other boards use it, that,
Yeah.
we'll deal with that later.
Okay,
Um,
just wanna know how we feel about it, and if we're a yea or a nay.
I don't even know what the magnitude of the expense would be, Maybe
I'm
we-
for it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Maybe
Let's
the
move
school
on.
has old ones that they'll retire. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That could happen.
I have to research it.
But they should need to be a touchpad.
We can get the recycled ones.
I don't have a problem with that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it has to be a
Because
touchpad.
Yeah.
It can't just have
What are
a
you
mouse.
talking about?
Well,
An
just-
iPad does
because
not
they're,
touch?
see, I don't even own one of those.
Oh,
Yeah, they
okay.
are, they are.
I mean, the concept is what,
don't
Okay,
touch
phones.
speaking of these fees, so I've noticed a butter notification at $5. So it's, I think, $6.26 at this
Correct.
point. So, one, do we have it in our bylaws that it's certified, or can it be certificate of mailing? And two, we need to change the form to at least pay for the person that's putting it together, and we don't put them together for planning.
Well, the
That's only
admin
for
fee,
zoning.
the admin fee
Yeah.
covers the time with Maria or staff to do mailings and that sort of thing.
Okay.
The $5 was the price at the time for certified mailings.
Yeah.
So that simply was set to offset the direct expense.
Right.
Should it be increased? Yeah. Well, it's 6 something, I think, $7, somewhere
$7.
around
It
there.
should be, yeah.
So can we do certificates of mailing, or is it specifically called out?
No certified mailings is called out.
Okay. So how do we change that fee?
We have to have, do we have to have a hearing? No. Should we have a hearing?
Yes.
Yes. My experience has been it's better to have a hearing and do this publicly so that people have an opportunity to comment on it.
Okay.
And we might want to look at other aspects of it too, so.
Well, ideally,
I
I'd
can
like to fix
distribute,
that because
for
I'm
the next
seeing-
meeting, I'll distribute
yeah.
the fee schedule.
Yeah.
You guys take a look at it.
Okay.
And then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
yeah, just
That's
knock
all.
off certain things that might,
Comes to happen and it's successfully change something, you're gonna have to change your form.
And
Yep.
we can look at
No,
the forms.
Tracy will.
I can do that.
Bill, I didn't see anything in my sign about,
There's nothing.
there's nothing to sign tonight? There was no
There
packet?
isn't, did we talk about the 61As and?
not yet.
Can I also say one
Just
more
that.
thing about the fees and stuff?
Oh, yeah, I'm
So
sorry, go
if
ahead.
we're advertising and it's not, pressing, could we maybe look at other papers to advertise that are less expensive?
Yes.
We have historically been using.
Most are done in what, Worcester?
Worcester Telegram. Yeah.
Worcester TV? Because that's a daily paper.
It's daily and,
Matt, the population that it goes to?
yeah, I think like the Trib, I mean, that's come through an evolution, over the past 20 years, I think. And we've always required the Telegram, so I
Yeah.
think that's why it's there.
Yeah. Because,
It's not regulated like that. That's not what, it's a circulation thing.
Circulated local paper,
Yeah.
that's really
It says
all
local,
the,
yeah.
yeah.
but does it say at a daily, a weekly, a bi-weekly, or
Well,
monthly? I mean, it makes a difference.
No, it's the time before the meeting.
That's right.
That's only
Okay.
regulated.
So it could be it could be a weekly paper, but if you meet the 14-day timeline
Right. You're
for
fine.
advertising, you're good.
Right, and that's where I think at times the TNG, you're covered no matter what, because it's daily
But
paper.
what I would suggest is that we're consistent with whatever publication we use, so we're not having one guy use the Telegram and one guy
No,
use that.
that's not the same.
You know,
Because if you go with a weekly or bi-weekly, if someone comes in the middle of their print cycle, that means they're off 3 weeks instead of their 2 weeks.
Yeah, Tim.
Other towns find it easy enough to do.
Well, I'm
It's
just
not
saying.
gonna be,
I mean, you're making more of a hindrance for somebody to come here by delaying them an extra week. We're trying to
we're
make
only
things
having
easier.
one meeting a month.
It's only 3 months a year. November and December too, so.
So, all this stuff from these other
What are you
towns,
talking about?
we'll
May,
bring that to our next
June, and
meeting.
July?
We have the summer months, and it's November,
that's
December.
Concom.
December, January, half the year.
That's Concom.
Yeah.
That's not planning.
I think to keep it simple and
Well,
stuff for
if
people
you
to
tell
get in
me
here.
it's not, you're not able to save 50% then, and it's too hard for somebody to figure out, then that'll be the answer. That'll be the response. But I've asked previously, and I know towns, I advertise in other towns, and
Yeah.
it's a lot less than what we pay. So I would like it, I asked for it like 3 months ago to check into it,
All right,
so.
we'll see what you
I
get.
think we're just going with the easy thing, telegram, we're not looking like
No,
outside.
we're looking for also the convenience of the person coming to the board, not making
We're
them wait.
placing the ad.
Yeah.
We are placing the ad for the town. Yeah. And it's half the
So-
price.
Hey, if it's in the fee schedule, then it's covered.
No, it's not in the fee
So
schedule.
I'm saying
We
that's
don't,
what we're
nobody's
talking
paying
about.
us.
That's what we're talking about.
No, we're talking about an additional item.
Yeah.
Advertising.
all right, these two things on the, when Chase's
Yep.
stuff.
You might recall we had a few properties that we endorsed A&Rs for recently on Orange Street.
Yep.
We have two,
But there's nothing assigned here, right?
no, and Suzanne needs a vote, I believe. I believe those are for 61, Chapter 61 land.
Yes, it's,
Making a recommendation to the selectmen.
yeah, yep.
First refusal.
Yep, there's two pieces of property being sold, one's a couple acres and one's, yeah. We haven't voted, we didn't vote on these already? No? Okay.
No, they've done a number of them, you might recall.
Yeah, right, okay.
We've done one, I think.
Two.
Two.
All right, so,
One was
two
a
more.
larger acreage.
are these in everybody's packet or just mine?
No, just.
That's
yours.
just the one copy.
What do you need, an endorsement or
All right,
recommendation?
so it's a notice of intent to sell, sale of property of the estate of Alice Chase, Orange Street, Douglas, Mass.
Keep hearing that name.
Particular number?
What are the lot numbers?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that right now.
One has a street address, Ernie, I think.
Yeah, one does have a street address. 47 Orange Street, and the other one is just Orange Street. So,
Yeah, orange.
Montrose.
Hmm?
all right, it's,
Do you want to help me with this one?
yeah, go ahead.
So 47 orange.
This one's
and-
47 Orange, that one's
Okay.
just Orange Street. So,
Orange Street. No number assigned to it yet?
It's a 6.24 acre parcel.
yeah, it's planned, it's got the plan book and everything right there.
Parcel 2, map 270?
A portion of.
Parcel 2.
Right, this is Exhibit 8A, attached to here. It has book,
Lot one.
Plan Book 892, Plan 86.
It's a portion of map 270.
Yep, right, this is, yeah, this one's map 270 also.
Yeah, it's a portion.
Yep, so this
Yeah.
is map 270 parcel 2.1.
So we don't want to buy these, right?
No, we
Anybody?
don't. The town doesn't have any
No.
interest in them, so we'll
Okay.
vote to
Not recommended.
not
I will
recommend.
vote to, yeah,
Yeah, to not exercise right of first refusal.
yeah, waive its right of first refusal. All right, so I'll make a motion that the board report back to the selectmen to waive right of first refusal for lot shown as lot 1, 6.24 acre parcel, as well as number 47 Orange Street, which contains 2.38 acres.
Second.
Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Mike G. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think that just about does it, Bill, right?
It does.
All this other stuff is from other towns for us to look at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to. I don't know why you don't get those every time, because we get dozens of those things.
Not sure what this is.
Need these back?
What are those?
Those are the ones we
Yes.
just voted on, yeah.
And
But there's nothing to sign.
And the bill.
And
this
that,
bill.
yeah, you just recommended, we
That's
passed it
all done.
already.
Yep,
We
that's
did
all
that
set.
earlier.
When CMRPC.
Thank you.
I didn't think we listed the amount,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, we just,
Okay.
yeah. All right, signed vouchers, there are no vouchers that I can see.
Nope.
Meeting minutes,
I don't see anything.
I think I put
Yeah.
one in your packet.
But it's not.
Mike?
June 12th.
Mike, didn't I? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It says meeting minutes.
Unforeseen
No, it says meeting minutes.
Yeah, it does, right on the,
Yeah,
right
right.
on the agenda.
minutes. Oh, it says minutes.
One,
Good job.
am I the only person that's
Aaron
looked at
almost
this?
caught you on your
Doesn't say minute.
administrative assistant
On page what?
tasks.
I thought of that.
Page 2,
Yeah,
item number 8,
yeah.
second sentence refers to a 10,000 square feet lot. It's 100 feet by 100 feet by 100 feet. That's a volume, not a, area. So I think the last 100 feet should be deleted from
Why you don't
That
think they have
statement?
air rates 100 feet in the air?
That's a drum
You
roll.
know.
100 by 100.
earth removal permit. Okay, so delete one of those
Yeah.
100s.
100 by 100, okay.
And that's the only thing I saw.
All right, anybody else have anything?
Make a motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as amended for Tuesday, June 12, 2018.
Second?
Motion made by Mike G, seconded by Mike Z. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anything that wasn't anticipated is not on
Anything
the
new
agenda?
on from Emerald Leasing LLC?
No, I put a call into the gentleman and sent him an email, I believe, and I have not heard anything.
Do you think a certified letter would be
I could do that.
useful at all? Release a response,
I can try.
so that we can get them a message. I know those butters are counting on us to try to solve the mystery.
What are you talking about, Chris?
Just
Stacy.
Isabella Drive,
Oh,
the flooding and stuff.
That water.
At least before the winter time, I think that
what do you-
well, they were working on an estimate too. So, on their end. I just saw that.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, okay, nothing out of, that's off the agenda, no?
Second.
Okay, don't go anywhere, we have to sign
Yep.
2 sets of plans. Hey, motion to adjourn, made by Tracy, seconded by Aaron.
Oh,
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. We're up to here.